Thank you so much for coming on today, Spriggles. I really do appreciate it.
I'm very happy to be here.
Let's link. Okay. So it is posted everywhere now.
All
So
right.
welcome in, guys. I'm really excited for our top 32 today. I have a really awesome co-caster with us today, Spraggles, who is a huge caster from Unite. He's also been playing a lot of Pokemon Pocket. So I think he's going to have some great insight between Pokemon Pocket, Unite, and some of those different Pokemon games. You can find Spraggles on YouTube with Spraggles as well as Spraggle Pocket. He streams on Twitch and YouTube as well, Spraggles, and then his Twitter is also Spraggles. You can do exclamation mark co-caster if you want to check out his different socials. But Spraggles, would you like to introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, that was perfect. Hi, I'm Jake. I call myself a content cowboy. I say yeehaw. You may have seen me play a lot of Pocket. You're right. I play a ton of Pokemon Unite as well, and I'm really excited to be here. I wanted to see kind of what this meta was going to look like, right? With Mythical Island coming to the game. And I think a lot of people are going to be shocked, and a lot of people not so shocked to see not much Celebi, right? Which is interesting. Not even by not much, I mean none in the top 32, which is really fascinating. So I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to see what Gyarados does today because I think it's going to be pretty crazy.
Honestly, I thought Celebi was going to be uh, actually like probably the majority of our top 32. And when I saw top 32 and there wasn't a single one there, I was just like, what is happening? Gyarados absolutely took the cake. I don't think that's the correct saying, but
No, it took the cake today. Absolutely, it took the cake in this tournament. I mean, it's crazy good. It's almost at a 60% win rate for the tournament. You see Mewtwo at 43, almost 44. Same thing with Celebi. Like the meta really has shaken up, and it's going to be really cool to see after this tournament, of course, how the meta evolves once we go, oh, this is now the top deck. Now we have to counter it, which is going to be very fun.
yeah, I think Mewtwo did absolutely poorly this week. We have a couple obviously still in that top 32, I think just because people are so familiar with it and it got some awesome new cards. But I'm interested to see if we can find a counter for Gyarados. Its butt is just gigantic with 180 health, and it swings for 140 very consistently. It seems really hard to deal with that type of attacker.
Yeah, it really is, right? I mean, I think the big thing with it is that huge, as you called it, its butt, that huge HP pool, right? 180 with 140 damage. You look at something like Mew EX, which is a really fun counter into something like Mewtwo. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mew EX, you can counter Mewtwo and KO it in one hit. Same thing with
Yeah.
Charizard, right? But you can't do that to Gary. Gary does 140, but has 180 HP. And then also that 140 damage is such a nice breakpoint for so much of the roster here. You know, Celebi goes down. Obviously, Mew goes down. Mewtwo goes down with 10 extra. So, a Giovanni or even the Greninja that you're being paired with. Plus, possibly you've done some damage to Drudagon. So it's taken 20. Like, there are just so many good breakpoints for Gary. It's incredible.
Yeah, the deck seems absolutely insane, especially to help with that type of breakpoint. Drudagon cannot be hit into, otherwise, basically every single mon other than, what is it, Charizard is within range of getting KO'd by the Gyarados. Even if you decide not to hit into the Drudagon, that then leaves all of these, Greninjas to get built up, and then we're getting snipe shot onto the bench. Like, it seems almost a little bit too hard to deal with for many of the decks currently in the meta.
Want to correct you because I thought the same thing about Char, but if Char takes 20 damage, it's got the water weakness, so it also goes down.
Oh,
It's just such a brutal card because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, Char's a good counter for this. Well, it's weak to water. So actually, if it takes 20 damage, it's right within range again with for Gyarados. So it's crazy good. Yeah, it's basically Char with 20. It takes Moltres in one hit. Blastoise could be an interesting like counter to it a little bit. Blastoise has 180 HP, so it's going to be cool to see what people try to, bring out to fight it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then Blastoise is a stage 2 that has to get, what, 3 to 5 energies on it? I guess it doesn't really matter since no matter what, you do have to two-shot the Gyarados, so you can swing at 100, but setting up a stage 1 Pokemon definitely feels a lot more simple than setting up these stage 2 Blastoises that you would want to counter with that. I'm going to go on and set up the top 32 bracket so that players can get going here and we can go on and find some of those games. But I'm really interested to see if there's going to be any type of answers to these Gyarados because...
Yeah, I feel like is Alakazam. I think Alakazam's within KO range of it, right? If Gary's got 4 energy, Alakazam does what 60 plus another 120. So Alakazam's actually a one-shot. Maybe we finally see the rise of Alakazam and stuff like that. Maybe we find maybe these bench snipers that they're bringing in, Volcarona, Zebstrika's already been here, Lumineon. Maybe this is the play into something like this. But I mean, today I think Gyarados most likely takes this whole thing down, which is pretty exciting. What else do we have in the top 32 that's kind of a big threat to it? I want to pull up the meta here.
I assume Pikachu could get set up in time to deal with some of these Gyaradoses. That being said, obviously it too gets one-shot. Even Zapdos, who would normally survive many of those 120 hits, gets taken down by 140 health. So... Golem doesn't one-shot it. I'm trying to think who might be able to deal with it.
I definitely think there is a combination. I feel like Zebstrika, like a Zebstrika Lightning deck, there's something to that, right? Really messing with the bench, because if you have Zebstrika online, they cannot put Magikarp on the board. They just can't do it, which is very, very good. But yeah, beyond that, you'd have to have your Zebstrika set up really fast. You'd have to have it in that active position. Luckily, against a lot of these decks, none of them want to do some direct damage to you, right? It's just like that Druddigon in that front position, and then everything's being built up on the bench. So that might be a pretty strong counter into it. But then, of course, there are all the other decks you run into, because I think that Pika deck is just going to get kind of beat up by Mewtwo pretty hard. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see this sort of shake out here.
Yeah, I guess one person did point out Charizard can swing into it and one-hit KO it. That being said, there's only 2 Charizards currently in our top 32, so that's going to be a lot to put together to do that.
Charizard's got the one-hit KO, which is great. The only scary part for Char, of course, is it also almost gets one-hitted, right, if Char's taken any damage from Gran. So, yeah, Char might be a decent call. I see from the chat Hitmonlee with Golem. Lately, I've been loving Hitmonlee, so I mean that could be a really cool strategy, honestly.
Does Hitmonlee swing for 30 or 20? I'm just trying to make sure I have that correct.
I believe Lee is 30. I was just playing it yesterday, and let me see. I think Lee's 30, but it might be 20.
Is it 30? That makes a lot of sense. So that could too then knock out.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, stretch kick is 30.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. I'm really interested to see if we'll see that come down then with this meta. I'm just quickly bringing up the standings on our screen here for stream. Middle here. And we can get that up so we can look at it real quick. I'm interested to see what games we can find that we want to watch first. Obviously, you can see here there's a lot of Gyaradoses. What is the plural of Gyarados?
Gyarados. I have no idea. Gyarados? It's a Gyarados. It's a Gyarados, and it's a Gyarados when there's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of good matchups right here, right? You've got a Char Gyarados, which could be really exciting. You've got Golem running into Arcanine, which is pretty cool right there. Ooh. You've got let's see, Mewtwo, Arcanine, Pikachu into Gyarados. Sounds pretty fun. You got a Gary Mirror. I don't know if we need to see that yet. We might see that a little later, right?
Yeah, for
sure.
But
there are a lot of fun matchups right here. What are you most excited about? What's been, as you've been going through the tournament, what kind of decks have been really exciting for you, Ursi?
I've been lot of Gyaradoses for sure. So I think maybe starting off without one might be interesting with that Golem. Was it Arcanine? Looks like
Yeah.
that's Dracon TCG. I'll quickly find where they are so that we can bring them up then. And then we'll be obviously seeing some more Gyaradoses, I think is what you said it was.
Yeah, Gyarados.
Yeah, Gyaradoses to watch. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that could be a really exciting matchup. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could win this whole thing. I'm surprised to not see a single Celebi in the top 32. The interesting thing about Celebi is when you're flipping coins, you can get, phenomenally unlucky, but you can also get phenomenally lucky. And I kind of assumed that based on like that crazy amount of variance that deck can provide, I thought that it wouldn't be unlikely that one of them, at least like one, could go kind of deep because, if you're playing anything like any card game, anything with RNG, something does just have a fortunate run, right? But Celebi being inconsistent obviously has been an issue for it in this tournament. I also think a lot of people maybe expected to see a lot of Celebis and knew how to play into it. And
that is true.
I wonder if we see a different look for grass Pokemon in the future. I wonder if people are going to try maybe that new Execute more. I wonder if we're going to see people go back to Venusaur, or we see sort of a different build with Celebi, like a different game plan with.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm interested in what they end up doing with that. Do you think there's any pairing for Superior that could be maybe more consistent than Celebi? Because I feel like Superior is just such a strong supporter in that like grass box.
Yeah, like new Executor. Like I think it's really cool. Like with Superior, it only needs 2 grass energy, and it's kind of like the grass versions of Alakazam,
Very
right?
true.
Which is pretty good. I think Delmise is pretty cool too. There is definitely something with Shiinotic, right? You have a Pokemon that at that point requires 1 energy and is going to put Pokemon to sleep every single turn. But with only 90 HP, that's a little bit of an issue too. I think there was so much hype around Celebi, and in individual games, you're flipping coins, you're doing 500 damage sometimes, so it feels like, oh, this is going to be amazing. But yeah, over the long course of a tournament, that inconsistency is going to hurt the deck a lot. So yeah, Ursi, I think you're going to need to see maybe something moved into this deck to give it that consistency. And I don't know exactly what that's going to be, but you might have one Celebi in the deck as an option, but you're mainly focused on something else. I think two-stage lines would be tough. I feel like it with Venusaur could be powerful, but also could just be so tough to get all that online. So we'll see.
Yeah, 2-stage 2s, it just sounds like so much for sure. I'm interested to see what they end up doing that, because definitely 500 damage feels so strong when you are swinging with Celebi, but I don't know like how you get a set. Does a fully set up the new Executor knock out Gyarados by any chance? It doesn't, right? It's like 20 short.
No. Yeah, it's like it's 20 for each energy, so it's 160 onto it. Which isn't bad. I mean, this is a stage 1, right? That is not it doesn't cost 2, right? It's not an EX. So that's pretty cool. I was playing around with a Delmise egg deck yesterday, and I was enjoying it, but you do run into some unfortunate matchups with that also. We're just gonna have to see. I mean, it's weird because this entire set, the hype was around Celebi and Superior the second we saw it. And I think not a lot of people expected much from Gary. I think everyone was talking about Mew. Everyone was talking about Celebi. I think there was way too much talk about Aerodactyl. Sorry to be a little bit of an Aerodactyl hater, but I have been since the beginning. I'm like, I don't think that thing is it, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
But Celebi really seemed like it could be the truth, especially when you run into a single game here or there, and that thing flips 4 heads right away, and you're like, well, that's busted. But yeah, in a longer tournament, it's just not able to, have the stamina to make it all the way to the end, apparently.
Yeah, I think there's a huge problem, definitely, with the Celebi. I saw a lot of times to be going against Gyarados. I thought, surely it's got to be okay against our lovely water fish. But the problem would be, is like Celebi would knock out, let's say, not Dragon, what is his name? Druddigon
Mhm.
or Greninja, and then Gyarados just comes in and swings and one knocks it. So I think like a Delmise or even just some other 1-point attacker that can deal with the tank in the front would be really helpful for Celebi. That it can take a couple hits and Celebi can get set up on the bench. Something like that I feel like could be very, very helpful. We are going to be getting up that Arcanine really shortly. They are we need to stream with a little bit delay for us. So I'm just going to send you the Twitch stream. And then once that game gets started on the stream, we can start casting it. But I am excited to watch that Arcanine and Golem matchup. And then obviously we're going to probably see a lot more Gyaradoses as we go into it very shortly. Matches have begun. We are just waiting for the streams to start and for us to be able to watch them. So I'm really
Awesome.
excited to see this Golem. I don't know, did you have any thoughts about the new Golem coming into the set?
I think Golem is actually really solid, right? I mean, 120 damage. By the way, I think I switched my mic, so if it sounds quite different or hopefully better,
A lot better.
let me
I'm
know.
turning you down a little bit, actually.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. My dumb computer thinks it wants to be the webcam. And I'm not dumb at all. I'm very smart. So Golem, I really like new Golem. I'm 160 HP is really cool. Not hurting yourself with attacks is really cool.
Very nice,
And
for sure.
with Brock, I mean, Brock is just consistent Misty, you know?
Very
Brock is
true.
actually a really good card for Golem. So I think you could see some strong plays with it. It does a lot of damage and it can take a hit. It's weak to grass and they're all gone right now. So that's pretty solid.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Celebi is not here to deal with this Golem. I mean, there's what, 120 and minus 30? Damage, let me check on it. I think it's minus 30, but that would protect it, right, from a one hit from a Gyarados potentially.
Yeah, I mean, Gyarados, it's got 160 HP, so already it's going to need to get chipped down a little bit, but the minus 30 right there helps it in a huge way. So it's a pretty strong counter, but it's good into a lot of things. I think Golem is a pretty cool deck. I'm interested to see how they built it. Let me see if I can pull their deck up here.
Yeah, and into an Arcanine, that seems a bit problematic for the Arcanine. Arcanine swings for 120. Obviously can't one-hit KO the Golem. The Golem, meanwhile, if the Arcanine swung, is already down 20 health, and Guard Press will then just finish out that Arcanine.
Yeah.
Bring up the deck list as well, and we
Sure.
can check it out on the stream. Let's
Okay. Yeah, so it's got a Hitmonlee, a Marshadow. This is a fun deck. This is gonna be really, really fun. Marshadow yesterday I was playing as well. I'm hoping that we get to see some Marshadow just because it's a really cool card, and I felt like I thought it would have maybe be like kind of a bigger splash in the meta right away, but I think people will start to play with this in some really exciting ways. One thing that I think is unfortunate about Marshadow is the Pokemon has to be knocked out by an attack for Marshadow's revenge to take effect. So things like poison, water shurikens, like so many things don't trigger the revenge damage, which might kind of keep this card out of the meta a little bit, but it's a really fun card.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was really interested to see Marshadow because of it being almost like a comeback mechanic. We have a lot of those in the main TCG where like behind points, you can hit for more or things like that, or obviously a knockout. So I think it's really interesting to see. I mean, the whole deck is one-pointers, but it is a one-point attacker that can potentially KO a Pikachu, and it definitely makes you think when you are knocking out someone in Lee's deck, right? Like, will this Marshadow be able to do more damage next turn because I decided to KO Amon this turn?
Yeah.
And you just said your best friend is Hitmonlee, so it's good that we are able to get that on stream already.
I know. I was having so much fun with Hitmonlee. I felt like the sneakiest card. Now that everything's got that Druddigon like sitting in that active spot, some of these snipers are just it's heaven. You're just like you're messing with them the whole time. It turns into a chess match a bit because then you see your opponent like, all right, when am I actually going to move this Pokemon in? How long am I going to let him just kick me? But of course, if I move it in, there's that Marshadow on the bench. It's a very fun strategy.
That sounds like something. Yes, Druddigon has absolutely been insane this set. I feel like I feel like nobody had their eyes on Druddigon or looking for a tank, but Druddigon I feel like has been able to be slotted into so many different decks, and so many different people, so many different decks themselves are playing this tanky mon. I've seen some putting in fire in these water decks so that they're able to even attack with that 90 HP. So I think a Pidgeot EX yesterday with Druddigon that I thought was pretty cool, because Pidgeot EX obviously can run off of any energies, so Druddigon then becomes an attacker and it doesn't cripple the deck at all. Really interesting to see.
It is. It's really cool. I think the reason when I first saw Druddigon, I wasn't like fully convinced as to why it would be great, but really I think the situation is Leaf, right? Leaf is such a good supporter card, and now that you have this wall with 100 HP, no weaknesses, and it just does like rough skin damage to your opponents. Now your opponents can't attack with like tiny attackers in that active spot, and you can pull it out with Leaf for your combo at any time. If Leaf didn't exist, I think you could use this a bit, but the combination is just so powerful.
So strong. It's absolutely insane. It does look like we're going to be able to go on and get into that game. Do you have his Twitch up, or would you like me to relink it to you?
Oh, I can pull it up here. Yep.
Perfect. Then I'm going to transition on over for stream, and we can get into watching this Arcanine POV versus that Golem Druddigon with Hitmonlee and Marshadow. So very exciting.
Awesome.
So we are starting the Druddigon exactly who we talked about, but I think Moltres is in a good spot here. You do have to deal damage when you attack for Druddigon's ability to be activated, so you won't see those pokes going into that Moltres, meaning it doesn't get set up for that Golem attack either.
Yeah, really nice, right? You're able to power your bench. You don't have to worry about it. Kind of both of you doing nothing in that active spot as the bench is being powered up now. We can see the Golem getting started on their side. We've got that Crown Rare Mew. I'm not jealous or anything like that because I haven't pulled it. Moltres also pulled from the Pokeball right here. They're going to put Mew on the bench. So they're getting set up in a pretty great way.
Yeah, that seems like a really good start for Drake and TCG here. I'm sure he's going to be wanting to find his Arcanine very shortly and for this infernal dance to land, but it seems like a pretty good start and not the worst for Nino Leo either. They do have the tank they want, and they already have that Geodude as well. Ooh, 3 heads. That's a fully powered up Arcanine on turn 2. Jesus.
Yeah, now they're just like begging for that card right now, right? As soon as that comes out, they can start swinging here, which would be really nice. They have one Sabrina in their deck, so they could try to bring that Golem out if they pull Sabrina. But they don't have the option there yet. They don't have Arcanine. They don't have Sabrina. I don't know how many, I don't know what's in their discard. I don't know if they've used Professors yet, or if we didn't see that. But they have a lot of options right now and a great start energy-wise.
Yeah, a really good start here. I think if Nino Leo misses the Golem and we hit Arcanine, we could potentially just see a wipe here, which is definitely a little bit sad to see. But yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Graveler hits the bench, so they're getting that set up. Going to throw some energy on it, I assume. Obviously, we don't know what's in their opponent's hand right now, but the hand that we can see, I mean, it looks really solid here. I'm guessing, depending on what we pull here, is going to, I mean, so many decisions are going to be made. Really smart to have that Geodude out on the bench also, because you might need it for a Sabrina. Kind of a brick as far as, I'd say Giovanni, not a great card here. I'm guessing they're going to use some firepower to power up Mew, possibly. They could start attacking, however, with Moltres to try to get Drud down, but it's not going to happen this turn. It's going to take a couple turns here.
Yeah, this is going to be a slow start for, I feel like, both sides. Nino is running some Leafs to be able to retreat back, but not going to want to do that this turn. Both sides just seem to be, setting up, playing a slow game that Dracon probably doesn't want to play.
Okay, we got 1, 2. Wow, really great with their rolls so far. 2 energy onto Moltres. If they can pull the other back with the X speed, possibly they could start doing damage to Drud, hopefully getting the Arcanine ready. Oh, we're looking at the coin right here. They've got the Rayquaza coin.
That's a nice one, though, for sure.
It's beautiful.
Check here. Yeah, I'm interested to see if we are going to be looking at like Hitmonlee coming down, we could attack Growlithe potentially even around this Moltres. If Moltres does attack into Druddigon, that obviously does set it up into an attack by, what is his name?
Oh, well, here's Golem. Golem hits the bench. So Golem's there. We're going to put some more energy on it. If they have Brock, they can power it, you know, right now with 3. Now they just have to get Leaf so that they get Drud out of there. Let's see what they decide to do here. Waiting for them to continue their turn. Only 3 cards in their hand, so you don't know exactly what else they have. Obviously, again, worst case scenario, it feels like for Dracon would be that they have Brock ready to go. They could be hiding it right here, but you can't play Brock and Leaf on the same turn.
Yeah.
Sabrina's here.
They definitely wanted to find Brock earlier if they wanted an early setup to be able to immediately retreat back. So not the best.
Yeah, now you're looking at this moment right here where, I mean, things are going great for Dracon, but at the same time, where's Arcanine? You've got Sabrina, but you can't really do anything with it. And still rolling, I mean, super great with these flips. Now the other Moltres is powered up. You can put more energy on it if you want. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, Arcanine's already ready to go.
We can retreat back now anytime next turn with Moltres, just a hand attach and retreat back to start swinging for 70. Doesn't seem like a bad spot to be in, but it feels like this one of those moments where like that disadvantage of running 2-pointers just seems so strong. Like you knock out one Moltres and there's only 1 point left to take. Meanwhile, Moltres knocks out a Druddigon. You have to take out 2 more Pokemon still.
Yeah, and you know, you could put Mew out there. Mew will one-hit KO Druddigon, but it also gets one-hit KO'd if they had like a Giovanni on their Golem or something. I think you could still make this play. I think it's still decently strong and then retreat the Mew. But also we're just going to have to see if they end up pulling their Arcanine right now. It does feel like they're in a really strong position here, especially with how much energy they've been able to put on their Pokemon.
It feels like it's almost too late though for Arcanine. Like, let's say you do get Arcanine this turn and you retreat, you swing in a Druddigon. You're now at 100 health though, right? Because ability and attack or recoil, and then it seems like we're definitely a little bit too late in this slow play. Like Dracon wanted a much faster game, and Nino Leo wanted it to go slow like this potentially.
Yeah. Here we go. We have the Sabrina play, so they're trying to decide what they're going to bring out here. They bring Graveler out. They're going to retreat into the Moltres. Now they're going to be able to do 70 to it, and they can just start chipping it up here. They didn't want to put Mew in a position to go down, so they don't end up playing Mew right there. They're just trying to get some points. Obviously, they have no EX Pokemon in their deck, so they're going to need to KO 3 things. So yeah, you're going to have to start chipping away at them at some point. Still waiting for one of those 2 Arcanine in the deck.
We haven't found a single one yet. It feels the worst when the evolution you're looking for is just sitting there at the bottom of the deck. And sometimes it does feel like it happens the most in these like elimination rounds. Obviously, a little bit of negative bias, but
yeah.
I swear
No, please go ahead.
The one time I made it to a top 16 with Charizard, my Charmeleon would not show up. I think he got like some performance anxiety. It was not okay.
That's so funny because that's what I was gonna say is I feel like for whatever reason to me it's more heartbreaking. It's always the stage 1. It's never the stage 2. I've got 2 of those in my hand or something. It's always that stage 1 that is at the bottom of the deck. It's the Kirlia, it's the Charmeleon. It's just sitting at the bottom of the deck while I have my 2 superiors in my hand ready to go.
Exactly.
I just cannot seem to find that stage 1.
Yeah, you have like 3 cards left in your deck. You're like, okay, this is the pool. We do actually get Arcanine here, so this could be huge for Dracon, but it definitely feels like you draw that 3rd card, still not the stage 1, but luckily it is not the last 2 cards for Dracon. Will we find a way, though, to actually come back here versus Nino, I wonder?
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, we still have the play. We could still always make this Mew play, right, of retreating Moltres, getting the 1-hit KO on Druddigon.
That's very true.
But then, of course, Mew is in a dangerous spot. Golem can swap right in. If they have Giovanni, it's a 1-hitter on Mew. So you're trading 1 for 2 here. We are going to bring in Arcanine, and they're going to swing.
That's going to put us at 110 health, though, right? Unless, I mean, we can't pre-potion, sadly, in this game. No shields here. So we knock out the Druddigon, but we are going to have that ability come in, putting us in range of that Golem attack.
Yeah, and I guess they're knowing that they're going to sacrifice right here. I mean, maybe they just know that that Golem is so dangerous that they want to take it out regardless. And here we go. Golem is going to swing. If they have Brock, they can start to power their bench as well, which could be really, really strong. They could even get another Golem online. That's going to take a long time energy-wise. URSIIDAY, I think they might start powering Marshadow for the revenge damage, but you've got a lot of HP on the side of Dracon too, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah, there is a lot of HP, especially if you're not going to be swinging with that Golem who'd be hitting for 120. Marshadow does Marshadow do 100 or 120 with that additional damage?
It's 100. So yeah, it's 40 plus the 60. So you're going to get 100 damage out of Marshadow.
So we do survive a little bit longer here. Even if Marshadow does swing back into Mew, it's definitely a potential play, but into Marshadow, Mew can only do 40 damage.
Yeah, let's see.
Ouch. We only run one Sabrina, I think, in Dracon's list as well.
Golem right now gets the KO. They're now up 2-1, but of course, Golem now can, start to take some damage here. It's going to be interesting. I want to see how they want to play it. Yeah, they're going to bring Mew out. Mew does not go down to Golem in 1.
But also Golem doesn't go down in 1.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what they have with Pokeball here.
That's going to be another Growlithe, I believe. Yep, that's the Growlithe. Would feel like we might not want to power up a second Arcanine, especially since that recoil damage just puts it immediately in range of Golem's attack.
Yeah, Mew's going to have to swing here for 120. Obviously, they've got the reduced damage from Golem.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, I don't know what's in the Golem deck. Do they have a Giovanni?
Let me flip back.
If they have a Giovanni, this is very scary.
There is a Giovanni for sure right now.
But you know what? Because they copied Golem's attack, it would be okay, right?
Yeah, true. Survive by 20.
Yeah, so interesting. So now, yeah, they are having to bring back the Drud. I mean, it does feel like a lot of these Drud games, I swear, you're making plays like 3 rounds later. You're trying to figure out how you're going to set this up a few rounds later. It's really exciting, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of those ones as well that you see something really positive about the new Golem. I think it's 1 retreat less. I think the old one used to be 4 retreats, so we only had to discard 1 energy with that leaf going back to the bench. So he's still basically set up, ready at any turn here to swing again, but...
Yeah, they lost here. So what they were recognizing right there is if they take the Giovanni, KO Drud goes down, but Golem comes right in and picks up the KO. They really had no plays they could make at that point. Oh man, there says Grazie. That's so much better than ours saying thanks.
Grazie's great for sure.
Why is no one Grazieing my Mewtwo decks? But yeah, that was really cool. That was a really cool back and forth there. And then of course you just see like the 2-turn GG and they move forward.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, especially with like these top tier players, how they're able to see the concede like 2 to 3 turns ahead versus other players. A lot of times you'll see them playing out all the way to the last turn with the assumption that like, oh, I'm sure somewhere I'll be able to make it, or they don't see the win just yet. But that Golem is definitely going to be a really hard spot for Dracon to take down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chat's asking who won. So it was the Golem won. The player we're watching the perspective of could see that they make a play, they could KO the Druddigon, but the Golem comes right in and finishes Mew off. They really had no path to victory there. They can see the GG next turn, so they just conceded to their opponent.
Exactly. Yeah, they went on and conceded. So Leo did take game 1 in our series of 3. That being said, there is 2 more chances for Dracon to come back and win the series and go into top 16 because of our awesome sponsor XP Collect. Huge shout out to them. Our top 16 players all do get prizing. So whoever wins this will be making their way into that prizing bracket.
That is amazing. Yeah, shout out to the sponsor, and then also shout out to you, URSIIDAY. I mean, I feel like you're crushing it for the community. It's so amazing that we've had so many great tournaments like this. It's just really cool to see.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But it's only because of the community that we can do it. Obviously, if we didn't have people showing up, if we didn't have people wanting to view it, we wouldn't be able to have these tournaments without that. And thank you, Sprinkles, again for coming on. I really do appreciate that you're co-casting with us today.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I mean, this is like with a new set. I don't know. I've not been in a TCG for a long time, right? So when a new set comes out, like I'm just so excited to see what players are going to bring to the table, how the meta is going to shape up, like how things look today compared to how they look in 3 weeks. Do you remember the start of Genetic Apex? Like everyone thought Arcanine and Charizard was pretty bad.
It was
And then
crazy.
it starts to evolve and you're like, oh, we actually have a way to beat Pikachu, we have a way to beat Mewtwo. Like it's just so fun to see. So I'm stoked to be here. Another good start, it feels like, for Dracon, but again, he needs that Arcanine. He got it so late last time. Here comes the big powering up from Moltres. We're going to see if he gets lucky once again.
Oh.
Last game he got 3 heads right away. This game a little less lucky, only 1 fire energy to put on the bench.
Yeah, this is gonna. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Arcanine shows up here with the not as great coin flip. So he did get 1 heads, but it's nice to see he's kind of planning ahead here. This Moltres did get put on the bench, where last game he delayed playing his Moltres, but because he thinks of it as an attacker now for this game, he's going to go in and power it up even before that Growlithe here. And Nina Leo did not get a Drudagon for their starting hand, which means, honestly, these Moltres attacks are even stronger this game. They can KO without putting Moltres in range of that Golem attack.
Yeah, this is a nice setup here. No Drudagons, right? I mean, that's tough. That's like what you're looking for if you're looking to stall with that card. Not a great, coin flip on the side of Dracon, but not a great, start here for our opponent, Nico, right?
Nino Leo.
Oh, Nino, sorry, Nino. We've got the little like words the covering their name right there. It is
Yeah,
Nino
for
Leo.
sure.
Sorry, Nino. Yeah, not an amazing start for them either, because they're not able to stall in the way they want, but they're gonna start swinging here with Geodude, it looks like.
Yeah, and that is going to put Moltres in range of future attacks. That being said, the Graveler on the bench actually has none of the energies attached to him. It's going to be minimum 2 turns before he can attack, and that's if we can hit multiple Brocks. So
Yeah. This is rough, huh? I mean, we've got another Growlithe drawn here, which is not what they're looking for. We've got a coin flip, another one not going well. So last round they were flipping really well. This round not so much. They're now
exactly.
powering the Moltres in the active spot so they can start doing some damage here, which makes sense. They need to make something happen. Of course, if they start to power the Marshadow on the other side, if you KO that Geodude, Marshadow comes in after this 20 from Geodude's attack, and then we'll take out Moltres. This is a really tough spot for Dracon to be in.
Yeah, it feels like another game where, even though this time Dracon did have a better start than Nina Leo, he's put into that hard between a rock and a hard corner. Again, that Marshadow does need to be pre-powered up, but it's
I do think it's rock in a hard place. I do think rock in a hard corner might be even better, because it does feel like, I mean, things are just closing in for the side of Dracon right here, right? I wonder where this energy is going to go. If it's me, I'm putting it on Marshadow to scare this Moltres. If Moltres takes down Geodude, but no, they actually end up powering Geo, and they're just going to retreat with it. Interesting play.
Back to Drudagon. Okay. So we are finally behind our tank that we wanted to be behind, but I'm assuming we're not going to want Sabrina early like we did last game, because we very quickly saw, because we used Sabrina so early last turn, Drudagon was just able to be put back into the spot, or into the active spot, and Golem could recoup on the bench, back to 100 health.
Yeah. So this is so they could still power Marshadow here, but of course they need that Golem to be online, right? It's like you're kind of you're just in such a tough spot here. If Marshadow has 1 energy on it, you can never feel comfortable KOing that active spot, because Marshadow will start doing some damage. Wow, 2 Brocks in a row is really fortunate, it feels like, for the side of Neo. That's great for them. Now they could power Golem. Now they could power Marshadow. There are a lot of plays they can make here.
Yeah, I mean, going on and putting that hand attachment to Golem does mean next turn we could see some KOs from Golem. but we'll need a leaf for that. Yeah, no X speed. So next turn supporter is either going to be a leaf or maybe we'll see Marshadow powered up.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting here.
Oh,
And yeah,
that's
I
a game
mean,
too.
they're considering not even being able to play here. They've not drawn what they need to draw. Moltres is in trouble of getting KO'd in one. If you bring the other out, yeah, and they just say that's it. There's nothing they can do. They see that there's no path forward for them. And Golem takes the win here, 2-0.
Yeah, that's a really swift 2-0 as well. I'm going to see if we can find a Charizard Gyarados game that seems to still be playing. Let me just check to see what channel that's in. I think that would be a great next game as we continue. It'll be Grumpy Pants versus Super Hydro East. Let me just see where they are in the Discord real quick.
See someone in the chat saying my mustache looks like it is, I think, taped on is what they said. It's not taped on, it's glued on. Thank you very much. Okay. This is an expensive mustache. It's a $700 mustache. I won't have people saying that it's taped on.
Yeah, taped on is too cheap, honestly. Like,
it's too cheap. Guys, it is a very expensive. It's actually a glue that you would use for making cakes. It's one of those food glues.
Eatable too. That makes sense.
It's an edible cake glue. Yes.
That makes sense. Do you want to hop into channel 8 with me in the Discord?
I'm jumping in.
Perfect.
Stream has ended.
Oh, there it is. Popped up.
There it is. Okay.
Let me quickly get their game up. But if you want to tell them what's happening while I pop that up.
Yeah, what we're looking at right now is the perspective of our Charizard player. They are powering up their bench with Moltres right now. They already have 2 energy on Charizard EX on the bench here. And on the other side, we have Froakie in the active spot, a Magikarp on their bench, as well as a Greninja with 2 energy on it. Charizard now is looking to be fully powered up with 4 fire energy. So things are looking pretty strong here. Neither player has earned a point yet.
Very early into our next game. Super exciting to see. I mean, having Charizard out already is just so strong. As we said earlier, finding those mons sometimes can be the hardest part of the game, I feel like.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's always the risk of having the stage 2 Pokemon, which I think is probably the biggest reason that Mewtwo was so powerful for so long, because even if you don't get Gardevoir, right, you have this crazy strong basic. Pika also had that. I know for everybody in the chat, URSIIDAY is pulling up the game here very soon, so I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what it looks like while she's getting that set up. She is a one-woman army here.
Sorry.
Trying to, like, make all this happen. It's a little tough. There it is, though. We have it up on the stream for everybody here. As Grumpy Pants is deciding how they want to power everything, another Magikarp hits the bench.
Yeah, and just to know, Grumpy Pants does have the first game in the series. But in my opinion, Super Hydro does seem to have a pretty good start here.
Yeah, right? It feels great for them. The Water Shuriken continuing to throw some damage onto this Moltres EX. So this is something I didn't notice the second we popped in here. But, I mean, their Moltres is in trouble. Only 30 HP left on it. We've got a Pokeball being played here. We're going to see what they pull from their deck. It's a Growlithe that they could put on their bench. They have Leaf ready to go. But, you know, it's tough. It's a little scary sometimes to get Charizard out in that active spot if you're not ready to sweep the entirety of the enemy team.
Yeah, on the plus side for Charizard here, we could hit for 60 into Froakie. We wouldn't have to discard any energy, and neither of the Magikarps have any energy on them. Or they have 1 energy on them, but that is a 2 to 3 turns away. At least 1 Misty has been played, which I'm not sure if a second one has been or not. So we'll have to see here exactly what they decide to do. Charizard does go up, but it doesn't seem like the worst spot to be swinging here.
Yeah, this is I feel like it's pretty strong with no Gyarados in sight. And like you said, no energy ready to go for their Gyarados. Of course, a Misty could change everything. Greninja has 2 energy on it, but you don't want to lose Greninja right now because it's your path to KOing that Moltres here. Greninja is going to take the active spot. It could still throw a Shuriken. It could then miss slash Charizard for 80, as we're going to have to see like what they're looking for here. Pokeball, I'm guessing, could pull their Drud and they could retreat for 1.
Yeah, not having a Drutagon down seems they're only running one actually in this list. So Grumpy Pants does have a little bit of a unique list. Only one Drutagon. With that, they get a Sabrina. But as you can see, that was a huge problem for them because now they didn't have it until every other mon of theirs was on the board.
Yeah. So here we go. They're gonna need to have like a big 1-2 punch here. We've got Moltres within KO range. If there's no potion on the side of our Charizard player, then that's going down next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Charizard can take down Drud and it can Crimson Storm once again to whatever is in front of it. It has 160 HP. On the other side of the board, they need Gyarados and they need an additional point of energy. So it's kind of like a Gyarados Misty could possibly save the game for them in a dramatic fashion.
Yeah, as you said, Misty would put it had enough energies, and this Charizard is in range of getting KO'd by a Gyarados right now. Grumpy Pants has definitely set up this game for themselves because if they hit this turn, they could still pull out the win.
Yeah. It's Gary and Misty. It's going to rely on having Gyarados and then Misty landing a 50-50. That the entire game relies on that right now if they have it.
You know, I thought in
Here comes
the
Gary.
anime, Misty hated Gyarados, but I think she loves him in this game.
We're going to find out. Oh, no, they didn't have it. Oh, no,
Oh.
Misty means that's GG. Wow. I mean, it really, truly, if they have Misty right there, it comes down to a single coin flip. Water Shuriken gets 2 points on that Moltres, and then they have a shot.
Absolutely insane as well. I mean, they may have already played it, but I assume they wouldn't have put it forward if that was the case. And Zard with 6 energies on it is the only mon in the game that can KO Gyarados in a single swoop. We're gonna let them go on and set up their next game for us, so I went on and hid the game for now. So
Great.
so
Yeah, that was really cool. It's always exciting when it comes down to a coin flip, but they didn't have the cards that they needed, so it just couldn't happen. I don't know if it was used earlier, right? We didn't get to see the start of that game, so I don't know if it was used to power Greninja at some point. It is crazy how much damage they were able to put on that Moltres, getting it in range of a Water Shuriken KO, but they still need to deal with Char, which looks like it got set up pretty well.
yeah, it was set up at the exact perfect time, in my opinion. But honestly, if that Moltres actually had a water weakness instead of electric, that might have been game way earlier. It's I think it's really cool that all of the legendary birds have electric weakness, but it's kind of surprising at times, especially when you see what you might expect for the weakness to be like this water deck losing because it's not there.
Yeah, true. I can see from the chat, should have Shuriken the Zard. Yeah, it's possible that they needed to put the damage on Char earlier, but it's
Hmm.
also possible that with Moltres in that active spot, they were able to do some damage with, Frogadier, Greninja. So they got it really, really close. In general, that Gyarados deck is probably not going to win if they don't have Gary online at all, right? If you never get Gary online, it's just Greninja. Clearly, they never got their Drud out to tank or anything like that. It's going to be tough for sure.
Yeah, 100%. We are going to be starting with Magikarp in the active spot for Grumpy Pants. I'd be Grumpy Pants if I had to start a Magikarp.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing here is you put one energy on it, you can switch. Let's see what they got. Here comes the
True.
Pokeball. And what do they pull? And this is game 3, right, Ursi?
This is game 3 of the set. So whoever wins this one will be going into top 16. And as we mentioned before, they will have a prize if they make it there.
This is actually a perfect start for Grumpy Pants. No matter what happens here, they're still able to pull this Magikarp out without taking any damage here.
Yeah, and to be
Professor's
fair,
research.
versus Moltres, you have a couple turns to retreat, to be fair. So, not the worst deck to be starting Magikarp against.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a reality where they can switch in Char. It does 30, but they're going to need a way to pull that out. The only way they could do that is if they did not play Professors there and used Leaf, but of course they didn't have Char at that point. So you're not able to turn one that Carp. Carp is going to head back to the bench here in 1 second and swap with Drutagon.
It looks like a pretty nice start for Super Hydro here. That second Charmander will protect against that one Sabrina in Grumpy Pants list. So they will not be trying to pull out that single Charmander. I am very surprised to see the old Magikarp, just like some people in chat are pointing out. The new one, I think, has an effect where it can jump back to the bench.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, sorry, you're right, chat. This is old Magikarp, which the new one, you put 1 energy on it, and then you could swap to your bench. This one, without X speed, you're actually going to need to pay to retreat this here.
Yeah,
They're gonna Misty again. It's possible they have Gary ready. It's also possible that they're just trying to power this thing. Oof, 2 Misties.
Both Misties in the discard pile now. There's not gonna be a late one in game like we were hoping for last game. And so yeah, as you said, they're gonna basically have to pay here to move that Magikarp back into the bench slot. I'm assuming we're gonna get Druddigon out, but maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it's not the hugest deal. Is Charmander 30? I think Charmander might. Yeah. You don't normally attack, but I assume you wouldn't always want to attack here. But oh wow, we're gonna see an evolution actually.
Okay, so they're just going to evolve right in their face here. So that's an interesting play. They don't know exactly what their opponents have, but they do know that Magikarp goes down in 1, and they are saying, look, if I put an energy on Magikarp here and then retreat it, we are so far behind, like powering this thing up, that they are deciding they're not going to make that play. They're simply going to power right in their opponent's face and try to sweep them off the board once Gyarados comes online. On the other side of the board here, we have them getting powered up, but of course, they need their stage 1s to power up these Chars, and they don't yet have them.
Yeah, you can definitely see that priority there. Like, they prioritize that single energy on Gyarados over getting that Druddigon into active spot. We'll have to see how that works out for them, but it seems like a bit of a risk because Gyarados can obviously knock out that Moltres, but that's still extra turns for that Charmander to evolve into Charizard, and Charizard just one-hit KOs the Gyarados in return.
Charmeleon is here, and that might just be like GG. I don't know any way around this. They have to retreat Gary right now. Or next turn, Gary just goes down to Char, and that's the end of the game. So, yeah, both Misties missing right there, not having a way to get Magikarp back to the bench. I honestly feel like new Magikarp here might just be, yeah, like really not ideal. What is the 10 damage really doing for you? It would be so much more beneficial to have an ability to head back to your bench, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what that 10 really helps with, because obviously Greninja can do 20 with abilities. I mean, obviously 10 gets the Mewtwo into range, but there's so many other ways to do it in this deck other than just attacking with the baby Magikarp.
I guess maybe that is it, right, URSIIDAY? Maybe it's just to get Mewtwo in range. I could see it, but it does feel like new Magikarp here would have prevented this from happening, and now they're about to get, you know, Crimson Stormed into oblivion right now. Gary's going to go down, and that should be the game right there.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be game. I'm assuming we're going to see that retreat here. A leaf is going to come down, so we don't even have to discard an energy. And that's going to be Charizard. 2 points immediately for Super Hydro. And that's Charizard winning in the top 32 versus a Gyarados. Yeah. Absolutely insane to see, but really cool at the same time.
Yeah, really cool. I'm excited to see some strategies beat Gary, even though I'm a huge fan of Gyarados. I'm so glad it's like made its way into the meta, because I was very disappointed with the Gyarados card that we had in Genetic Apex. So it's really cool to see a Gyarados that actually does things and scares people. But with both Misties missing, with no way to get Magikarp back to the bench, I'm sure they thought, hey, look, I'm just delaying the inevitable. I have to start hitting them before Charizard gets online. Unfortunately for them, Charizard was ready to go very fast.
Yeah, Charizard was immediately there. And I'm going to bring up metagame. That was the last of the top 32 games. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to bring up that metagame breakdown again so that we can look at it while we wait for people to get into their matches here. So I'm just going to transition over. We can see our top 16 here. some more interesting games. This time Charizard is going to be going against a Pikachu potentially. It does look like a number of the Gyaradoses did get taken down this last round, though. We have how many left here? 1, 2... Only 3 of those 13 Gyaradoses left running. Unless I'm like completely miscounting. But
Gary's going down. We've got a mirror matchup here of Gary's. We've got one running into Golem. Four Gyarados, right? Is that what I'm seeing?
Is it 4?
Or 5?
Oh, it is 4 with Harrian's Butterfree Gyarados.
We've got Kronos running this Gyarados Starmie, which I think is really cool. Obviously, a lot of people are running. We have a Gyarados Butterfree. We have a lot of interesting looks at this. I think Gyarados Greninja is obviously the most popular, but I do think there are other ways to play. The thing I really like about the Kronos deck is this was like the first, when my brain saw what Vaporeon could do with Gyarados, I thought this was like really, really exciting because you could take something like Starmie EX, do a lot of damage, retreat it for free, and then power Gary with that. So it's just a different way to power it up. I think that's a very cool strategy here. We've got a classic kind of Pikachu, Raichu going at it. Golem moving on, obviously, that we saw earlier. We've got that Pikachu Zebstrika. That could be a cool one to watch just to see how it plays into Gyarados.
Let me check the Pikachu Zebstrika. So let's see. Pikachu. Which one do we want to watch? Pikachu Zebstrika into Juked Gaming?
Yeah, I think that could be kind of cool. I would like to see how Zebstrika plays into it because it's from the thought of it, it feels like a natural counter to it, right?
Yeah,
but you never know. I mean, you still are powering up really strong cards.
Yeah, our winner last week actually predicted that they think Pikachu Zebstrika will win this week. So we'll have to see. So we can hop into that game. They're in channel 4, so we can go on and hop there.
Let's do it.
I dragged you up here.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Let me just get that game up then.
Great. So we are starting this up as Ursi's getting it ready for you all right now. We're watching the perspective of the Gyarados deck. They're going to start with Froakie in the active spot, Magikarp on the bench. They have Leaf and 2 Greninjas in their hand. And then, of course, on the other side, immediately, we see them start with Blitzel. So this is going to be interesting. First card pulled, too, is Gyarados. So they're getting ready to go here right away.
Exactly what they need for sure to get started in this matchup.
All right. Let's see how they get going here. Pikachu EX on the bench right now. Blitzel getting started. And, it can already do damage with Zap Kick here with that weakness. That's 40 to this Greninja. Or to this Froakie here. On the other side, Druddigon has hit the board. Magikarp being powered with some water energy. And Gyarados being powered on the bench. So it looks like they're going to be sacrificing their Froakie unless they want to play Leaf to get Drud out right now.
Yeah, I mean, Blitzel if we had gotten a Zebstrika one turn earlier, I guess we're starting with Gyarados. But even one turn slower, Zebstrika could have taken out that Magikarp on the bench. Zebstrika does come down. But I think this is those rare games where Trakab is probably like, man, I wish I'd gone first.
Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, just a perfect setup right here for this Gary to not go down. Dedenne is hitting the bench here. Pika could start to be powered up, but they're going to power up Zapdos, possibly for a big old swing onto Gary here.
That's really interesting to me. I mean, I guess Pikachu can only swing for 110, but having to rely on that Zapdos so early, knowing, oh man, I'm going to have to rely on that coin flip, does not feel good when you normally can just rely on that consistent damage from Pikachu.
This is a nice play. They have Leaf right now, and they're considering whether they want to pull Frogadier back. I think they actually don't need to, but of course, Frog could go down at any moment. We're going to find out how exactly they want to play this. One option, they get Greninja, but they lose Leaf, so it's hard to get Drud out of there. It could be tough either way.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, Frogadier could go down very shortly. Zipstrika hits for 50 into the active spot, so it would KO the Frogadier. But obviously, Zipstrika's mind is kind of on that Zapdos on the bench that they've already sniped at least once, meaning they didn't take out Frogadier and they could have last turn.
I'm thinking the consideration for not bringing Greninja out of the active spot there, or Frogadier at this point, is that there really isn't anything on the other side that they need to whittle down for Gyarados to be able to KO it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably why they left Frog there. Thunder Spear is going to continue to hit Gyarados, and now they can actually put Greninja in the active spot. We also have Misty. If Misty hits, Gary could come out right now.
Yeah, and we're kind of like dividing those energies on Trakob's side here. They put an energy on Zapdos, but now they're also splitting it to Pikachu. If the Misty hits right, potentially this Gyarados could be swinging this turn, and it'll be too late for that Zapdos. But I guess it comes down to this.
Yeah, Misty makes a lot of sense to me here. If you get 2, this is huge. Yeah,
Exactly,
massive,
2.
massive Misty right now. You can now retreat Greninja and put Gary in if you want. You could start swinging and doing damage here immediately, which is maybe what they want to do. Zebstrika will go down. Frogadier will be safe to evolve into Greninja on the bench and start throwing some shurikens. Really good 1-2 punch there. Misty powering 2 energy in 1 turn is just massive.
Yeah, this is insane. That being said, actually, the Zebstrika attacks have put this Gyarados in range of a Pikachu Giovanni attack. I'm trying to see if they have it in their list real quick. But that would be very painful for Juke Gaming. There's not a mon, I think, on their board that would be able to KO that Pikachu back.
Yeah, this is interesting. I was even going to say, I wonder if we see Dedenne come out here with the weakness. They're going to do some serious damage and possibly paralyze Gyarados, which could be really massive. And they need another card on their bench for this Pikachu. So here we go. We're going to start stunning for fun right now, and we're going to see how much damage we could get on this Gary.
Yeah, sadly that Gyarados' effect did take an energy off of Pikachu, but Dedenne, I think this is such a strong card. A 1 energy paralyze that does come down. Jesus.
There it goes. So we had the paralyze on Gary, and you're right. Great call out there, Ursi, that the energy from the rampaging whirlpool, it removed energy from Pika, which is pretty devastating for our lightning deck here. But we now have another turn because of this incredible paralyze effect.
I love Dedenne. I mean, obviously only 10 damage is not a lot. But 30 is not a lot from Pincurchin either. But Pincurchin needs that extra setup of a 2nd energy. 1 energy for a paralyze, in my opinion, is almost OP.
Yeah, it's pretty strong, right? I mean, you just get a few lucky coin, not even lucky. You just take a few 50-50s, and then all of a sudden, like, the match is very different. Exactly. We have the energy now being powered on Pika here. We're going to have, I assume, Dedenne strike 1 more time to hopefully get another paralyze. If they do, Gary's in so much trouble.
So much trouble, actually, though. That's going to put it in 60 range for Gyarados as well, which means Pikachu will only need another basic, even if this paralyze misses.
Here we go. This could be big.
Oh, another paralyze.
Oh, come on. Jeez. Oh, geez. How devastating this is.
Ouch.
I mean, Gyarados is like, you basically have to recognize that Gyarados is going down here at this point. There's a possibility they could power another Gyarados on the bench, but they also could get another Frog, which could be huge.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, on one hand, Gyarados did get 2 heads on his Misty. So it's only fair. But, yeah, and we could get so many things set up on the bench right now. And this Pikachu, I wonder if we even see the snipe shot on the Pikachu, because Pikachu's in range of a Greninja attack right now with the snipe shot.
Yeah, that's right. So Greninja, between its Mist Slash and Water Shuriken, does take Pikachu down. So if Pikachu moves in to pick up the KO on Gyarados, they are not able to finish this. They need 1 more lucky flip. Again, not even lucky, but just lucky to get 3 heads in a row.
Yeah.
For this Gary to go down here. They also, it looks like they're possibly moving in
We're going to attack with Pikachu. I wonder if we have any potions. Potion would put Pikachu back out of range of this Gyarados.
There it
is at one point. The potion does come down. That's...
Okay. I was wondering what was going to happen here, and that potion is massive.
Jeez.
Pikachu picks up the KO. That's going to be 2 points over to Godpack.
Mm-hmm.
And now Greninja, just not much they can do here. Drud having to be placed into that active spot.
Pikachu does run Giovanni as well in the case that they run into that.
Froakie hits the bench. I mean, it would be a long ways to go, but if they could have 2 Greninjas out, boy, those shurikens would be massive. We have Leaf. We have another Drud. So they can juggle these a little bit, but again, as you mentioned, Ursi, if they have that Geo, it's just done.
Yeah, I'm sure they wish they would not have shurikened the Zapdos the turn before, because otherwise they would have needed 2 potions to have a safe Pikachu right now.
And here we have Zebstrika hitting the board. Pikachu, of course, could retreat if they don't have Geo. If they have Geo, there you go. That's Giovanni with the Pikachu, and that is going to be the game here. What are they doing? Are they just BMing right now?
Oh no.
Okay. Well, they just want to let us know that they had potion, apparently.
That's good, I guess.
There's like, hey, just so you know, we still got potion here, baby. A little bit of a BM right there, just flexing, letting them know how many more cards they had in their deck, or in their hand. They could have won earlier.
They could have won earlier. It would have been fine. Yeah, I mean, to an extent, it's BMing, but on the other hand, Duke Gaming probably feels better knowing that snipe shot didn't save anything.
That's true. Yeah, just letting him know, like, hey, no matter what you were gonna do, it was over for you, my friend. I just wanna show you the rest of the cards here. Yeah, you never stood a chance, says the chat, with that potion.
Ouch.
So very, very fun matchup. And again, Ursi, I was really wondering, like, how is this gonna pair up? Because this does feel like the natural counter right here, and they had a great game 1.
That was a great game 1. We'll have to see if they can continue that with their game 2.
Yeah. Getting ready for game 2 here. Felt like both of them had some fortunate coin flips, right? We had a really strong Misty, but you had some great Paralyze on the other side.
For sure. We're going to go in and pop that up then for chat here. We are 1-0, where our opponent has won game 1. And we are starting with Zapdos this game. Are we going first or second? Oh, we're going second. We need to retreat immediately.
Yeah, they're gonna have to build a bench here, right? They're in a lot of trouble. Pokeball gives them the ability to, though, and they've got Drud, which is nice.
Looks like a second Magikarp.
Yeah, another Carp hits the bench. So if this one goes down, that's how it goes sometimes, and there's nothing they can do about it here. They have no Misty. They already played Professors as well, so they couldn't play it after they played Professors, right? But that Carp's going to go down, and Drud is going to hit that active spot. Sabrina could be pretty devastating after that, of course. We're just going to have to see how they want to play it.
Ooh, that bench is getting filled up by Jacob. I mean, this is going to be their first point knocking this Magikarp. But if they have Sabrina next turn, and Juke Gaming doesn't have a third basic to put down, the dream of a Gyarados may very quickly subside.
Yeah, we have Gary at least, so it could take a hit,
Very true.
And they're probably gonna want to use it. Nice, they have the other Drud too, so they're not as scared of Serena right here. And even before Gyarados hits the board, they're moving the water energy right on over. We know what we're doing here. We are powering up that powerful EX Pokemon. We're gonna see how they want to play it on the other side.
We definitely know exactly our game plan here with this board. It's just power up that Gyarados and keep going.
Yeah, it's power up Gyarados. I feel like you have more options if you are a God Pack on the other side, right? Especially if they can get Zebstrika at some point. They have a lot of options.
Very true.
But they could just start, sweeping them up here. They already have 1 point. If they're able to take those 2 Druds, that would be great for them. The nice thing about Zapdos doing this damage here, Ursi, is even if they take 20 from Rough Skin over and over and over again, it really doesn't stress them out too much because they have Gyarados that's going to one-shot them anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't change the breakers at all, so they can poke into these Druddigons as much as they want. And that little
Water
Dine is on the bench saying, do not put Gyarados up.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, that's the scariest card of their deck, apparently, is like, look, it's only doing 10 damage, but with the weakness, it's a massive amount of damage, it feels like, right? For one energy with the with the chance to paralyze on a 50-50. It's a pretty scary card for a Gary deck. As Pikachu moves in, if they can fill up their bench here, that would be great for Pika right now.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
they
they
do. All right. This is it's looking pretty bad
That's
for our
point
Gary
two
deck.
for Jacob then. Only 1 point left to go. It's one of those moments where it's like, do you just put up the Druddigon, hope they don't have Giovanni again, or do I try to tank with that Gyarados that can take at least 2 hits, but it is going to be the Druddigon.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, do they have Giovanni? Will they play Sabrina? It feels like they really don't have a lot of options here, and they're just going to have to kind of pray right now that their opponent doesn't have a few of the cards that sort of GG them right away.
Mm-hmm.
Pikachu could also, you could Sabrina the Gyarados if you want and put some damage down, but there's Geo, and that's the end of the game.
That's me. Game 2 for Traub or God Pack, and that's going to be a 2-0 sweep in their top 16, immediately going to top 8. Let's see if we can find us another game to watch here. Let's see. The Cronus game with the other Gyarados that you mentioned is only in their game 2 right now. If we want to try to hop over to that, I've sent you that Twitch channel.
Perfect.
Let me just bring it up here.
All right. Yeah. So as Ursi's bringing that up, I'm going to let you guys know what we're looking at here. This is a Gyarados deck. This is the Gyarados Starmie Vaporeon deck. We're looking at it from the perspective of Kronos, the Gyarados player. It's running into a Charizard deck right now. We have Moltres in the active spot with only 50 HP left. We've got a couple of Magikarps being set up on the side of Kronos, as well as Starmie EX fully powered up here. So no points yet for either side as we're coming into this game here. Is this game 2, you said?
This should be their game 2, yeah.
Cool. Charizard now is hitting the board, and it's going to slash and pick up the first point against Magikarp.
I'll hop the channel over so people can see it, and now just put in that point. So it's 1 point for Kronos, and 1 point for Alcofi? I don't know how to pronounce it.
All right.
Let's see.
And we have Eevee hitting the board here. It's possible that they could power up Gyarados very soon. They are going to do some damage with Staryu, enough damage to put Charizard in range of KO, right? And if they have Gary as well as Vaporeon next turn, that's powered, and Charizard goes down, and that would be huge.
Ouch. Yeah, that does sound gigantic. Charizard, I mean, they're already... Oh, Cronus is 0 points. You only really get one Charizard ever set up on a Charizard deck, so taking out that attacker, even if you haven't gotten any other points, really does cripple Charizard.
Char right now is looking to retreat into Moltres. I think that's probably the right call here because if they have what I think they have in Kronos' hand, it is Vaporeon, Gary EX. It's over basically for that Char. And now they're going to attempt to wait, right? And find a good situation for Charizard to come in and KO Gyarados, which it now can do. It's got energy. They're also powering their Growlithe, so Arcanine could be out. There's the full art Vaporeon, so if they didn't have it before, they have it now.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see some Sabrina here from Kronos. He obviously does have Vaporeon. We definitely want to take 1 point, or at least some type of point, before our 2-point attacker comes in the active spot, since Al does have already that 1 point, and Charizard sweeps anything, honestly.
It's going to be interesting. So now Moltres is in range of a Giovanni on this Staryu, right? Like if Staryu just plays Giovanni, they could KO Moltres. give them 2 points here and make it very, very scary for anything on the side of Al's board. We also could see them bring in, something that will only cost 1 point, like this
Hmm.
Growlithe, to sort of tank this Staryu here for a second.
Yeah, I mean, Growlithe can take at least one hit here. I wonder. We're going to need some way to force out one of these 2-pointers, and or one of the 1-pointers so we can get a point before Charizard. But I wonder how we're going to do this. We do this second energy on the Moltres. That could be their retreat here.
Yeah, it could be their retreat, right? Because they have to get this out. They're not running into sort of the classic Gyarados classic, as the set's been out for like 4 minutes.
The 6-day classic. The 6-day
Yeah,
classic.
the old 6-day classic that we're seeing here, URSIIDAY. The Gyarados that we all know and love. And Charmeleon now comes in.
Huh.
So they are moving in that 1 point, right? It just, they would only lose 1 by this Pokemon coming down, which is pretty big. Vaporeon's ready to go. I got to assume Gary's ready to go. They're sort of like trying to hide it right now from their opponent. But I think both players know what is going on here. They can't move in Starmie because Starmie goes down to Char. They can't move in Gary right away. We are going to Giovanni right now on this Staryu.
Oh, we're going to attack with Vaporeon.
I like it.
I like it too. That's going to KO that Charmeleon here. And there is only 1 energy needed on that Magikarp, so Gyarados can still finish out this game.
Yeah, cool strategy. I like this a lot. And yeah, I mean, they're saying, look, you're putting in your 1 cost. I'm going to put in my 1 cost. I'm going to try to take a KO right
They're
here.
Highlighting it for us that it already has 3 energies.
They're letting us know. I've already got 3 right here. So next turn, I'm able, like, very, very nice. And with that Dio, that's a point. Yep. Huge right now.
Huge. Absolutely. Yeah, I think having these extra 1-pointers on Kronos' side, I mean, Vaporeon you only think as a supporter, but having it to be able to attack here does give the help where Charizard's going to knock out here. Even if he Sabrina's, that brings up Staryu, and Charizard being all 2-pointers is going to be a bit of a problem for the deck.
This is really nice. I mean, even if they didn't have Sabrina or anything like that, but even if they do, right, they just bring in Staryu. We have Moltres, doesn't matter. Arcanine, doesn't matter. All of them right now. We get red carded.
Interesting.
Whoa, we get red carded. We didn't get to see Kronos' hand. Kronos did not have Gary. They just red carded him a Gary. No.
Oh my God.
He was posturing like they had Gary the whole time, but he did not have it. They just gave him the game. They just gave him the game with red card. Are you kidding me? Wow.
I think that is the correct turn to red card, though, to be fair. It is the correct turn to red card, but bad luck. Oh my God. It's turns like that where you're just so happy that they're running it. But, geez.
I mean, it is one of those cards. Yes, if you red card Gary right there, sure, but also their deck is pretty thin, right? So I'm a red card hater. I'll just put that out there right now. I don't think
red card is so strong. I can't even. Sorry, Sprinkles. Your invite to the stream has been rejected. Get out.
All right. I understand. Thanks for having me, by the way. It has been a lot of fun, but I knew we were going to find our impasse at some point. I am a red card hater, but I do recognize you're fully right. That is when you red card. It just so happened, instead of like they had Gary and they maybe even just drew it again, they did not have Gary and they gave it to them. What a massive red card.
A masterful red card, but yeah, no, it definitely sealed the deal and lost in the game there. I'm gonna clear out the score points here, but my gosh, no, he was definitely posturing like he had red card, fully confident about that Magikarp, and I mean, I was convinced that he had red card right there. I was convinced he had red card right there. So.
Oh, you mean Gary right there? You were convinced he was ready to go.
He had Gyarados. Yeah, I was convinced he had Gyarados there. My bad on that. Oops, Daisy.
I fully agree with you, and I do think, like, I know this is like all feels right here, but I do think the play probably is to red card right there. It's just so wild when you see it like we get to see it, and obviously his opponent doesn't know, but
Mhm.
we get to see a hand with no red card, or excuse me, a hand with no Gyarados. I'm doing it now. A hand with no
Sorry, I
Gyarados.
didn't even expect to do with it. Yeah.
I know. A hand with no Gary now gets shuffled in. They now have essentially 4 opportunities to draw Gyarados instead of the one that they had before. It's
Mhm.
just it's how it goes sometimes. But what an exciting finish to that match.
Yeah, no. I'll say even in the normal TCG, you have like Iono, Judge, and things like that. And the running saying is like my opponent always gets judged in, or even Roxanne into the boss that they need, and I always get bricked. Like everyone says
Mhm.
that.
Yes.
So it happens. It happens every single time for sure. But in
There
that
have
moment,
there of course have been times where red card has devastated my hand. And for me, being a red card hater, I always clock the times when it helps me. So, like, just like everybody, I'm only looking for the information that supports my worldview already. Ursi,
how dare you?
is
How dare
when
you?
I know as soon as
Biased
it
caster, biased caster. Not like I'm super biased over here as well for a red card, but
Yeah, there no question there are times when it's amazing, especially in a tournament with an open deck format,
yeah,
right? Because you have a very good idea of what your opponent is running, and you have uh you just have so much more information as to when a red card would be good.
yeah, it's a threat, especially in open deck list tournaments like this. That red card threat makes players do play a lot more greedy than they might, or not, doesn't let them play greedy in ways they might otherwise do.
Yes.
But obviously, it does have its bad times, like Gyarados here, like Gyarados
Yeah.
here.
From the chat, red card is red. I have to agree with this fully. You know, I think there's a lot of like controversial stuff said about red card in the chat, but the Buy-in King, red card is red. This is 100% true, and I'll die on this hill.
Yeah, very true. It is red, and you know what they say, like red flag. Obviously,
Mm.
as a red card lover, that's a big red flag. Big red
I
flag.
totally agree with you. Yeah, so why? It really is one of those moments where someone can really put it into perspective. I think a lot better than I could. It is true that red card is indeed red,
If it was green, it would
and
be so much better.
that's important. It's really important.
Truly. So we do already have a Starmie here on Crohn's side. That's a very aggro start. And we are running the much cuter Eevee than the one that does almost unlimited damage. So.
Yeah, I mean I guess that Eevee is like a little controversial too, right? There are times where it's great and there are times where it's terrible based on how Celebi has performed throughout this tournament. Perhaps that Eevee just being inconsistent is really not super ideal.
Very true.
They have Starmie ready at any moment, right? 1 energy on it, and now they're
Mhm.
powering up their Magikarp. So they're in a pretty good spot here, but Charizard is already out. So is Arcanine EX on the side of Al here. So they're looking pretty good. Hoping for a bad amount of energy here, obviously. Let's find out.
We are going to
Only
get
one.
one.
Yeah. It's rough, I mean, obviously if it's 3, it just gives you so much more, right? It gives you so many more options. You can start to power Char fully. You can put energy onto Arcanine, and now they're placing that 1 onto Arcanine right now. Vaporeon card that is drawn here, and we're going to see how they want to play this. Gary hits the board.
Gyarados does appear, yep.
It's going to be pretty solid here, it feels like, for Kronos. I feel like they have a good setup, but of course, they can always get, one shot by this Charizard. Interestingly enough, Charizard's not really ready to go yet.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, even pairing up Arcanine doesn't seem like a great play here. I guess it doesn't get one shot by Starmie, but it doesn't one shot Starmie either. And we already do have this Charizard fully made on the or evolved on the bench.
Yeah, and Vaporeon is what, 120 HP? Am I right about
I
that?
think it's 120. I think it's
Yeah, so I
120.
guess maybe that's what they were thinking about, right, Ursi? Is like, hey, if I have Arcanine, if they keep this Vaporeon out, if there's like any possibility that this Vaporeon's in the active spot for 1 less energy than Char that I don't have to discard, I can get rid of Vaporeon. With the Geo, I can get rid of Starmie. So I see it, but also now that Gary's here, it's just really unfortunate for Char that Char's not ready to go.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It does only have 1 energy on it. I guess it is 2 now. But assuming Vaporeon appears, that card can move the energy directly from that Starmie onto the Gyarados. So bad spot to be in here.
Yeah, and Gary at any time is ready. They're getting red carded right now. So they may lose their Vaporeon, and then they actually are going to hide their screen so we don't know what they draw.
Interesting.
I'm excited. That could have been we may have found another great opportunity for red card. If they don't have Vaporeon, this could be really good for our Charizard player.
Yeah.
Wow, just unfortunate, unfortunate energy distribution from a few of those.
I wonder what we're looking for here. I mean, I guess it is that Vaporeon,
Yeah.
but definitely there is the point that because we now know that Al has red card, Kronos, the moment they draw the Vaporeon, is going to want to play it. They can't hold it in their hand, which is one of the pros of red card, but also gives you information, right? I know he has red card. If he has the card in his hand, he's going to play it immediately. And Vaporeon is going to come down here.
So they did give Vaporeon once again. Red card ended up shuffling it back into the deck, but they were giving it back. So not a huge, red card one way or another. It looks like we are going to tackle right now.
Okay.
Just put a little pressure on Moltres, trying to get it possibly within KO range of this Starmie. Or just, saying if you don't do anything right here, I am going to try to fight you a little bit. Yeah, the threat of red card is sometimes even better than red card itself, right?
For sure. No, the threat of red card is definitely one of its strongest aspects. No question about it. No question about that.
And we're going to see how they want to play this. We have the energy 1 turn from being ready to go on Gary, but with Vaporeon, it's essentially ready to go. We have 1 energy on the EV in the active spot. You could now retreat that without having to use something like a Leaf or an X Speed or anything like that, which they don't have in their deck. So you could retreat this Eevee, bring in Gary. Gary does get one shot by Char, so you could retreat Eevee to bring in Starmie to try to bait out Char. We're going to have to see how they want to play it. And once again, just such unfortunate energy. I mean, just really hitting the 33% there over and over again.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're continuing to power up that Arcanine. As Kronos did point out with his mouse over, Gyarados could potentially discard energy off of Charizard. So if Charizard swings at any point, it could not only be he discards the 2 energy, but it would be a 3rd, potentially, with the Gyarados. But I'm assuming that's what the mouse over was, at least.
This is an exciting moment here. I mean, they're going to have to make some decisions. They don't want to get anything out into that active spot that has too much energy, right? Because if they do, they can no longer use Vaporeon's ability to power Gary.
Exactly.
So yeah, they're powering Gyarados on the bench. It looks like they might just be swinging again with Eevee, trying to basically, say to their opponents, you need to make the first move. And I'm sure their opponents are feeling the same thing. Like, you need to make the first move. So here we go.
Yeah, I feel like the Charizard Gyarados match sometimes feels to me almost similar to the mirror match with Charizard, where it's like the last person to put out Charizard, or in this case Gyarados, is the one who wins. But we'll have to see if continues to hold here. Obviously, Kronos does have 2 1-pointers, so it's not like you knock out Moltres and you win. But the big attacker does seem to be really important here.
So he can't put in Gary. Starmie goes down. Vaporeon is 1 point, and it's really the only card you could put in right now. I'm trying to think if there's any path to victory right here for Kronos, and I'm not sure I see it. Because Char's ready to go, and Char could fight again, right?
Yeah, very true. Assuming the discard is in Al's favor.
Yeah, because even if let's say Vaporeon does a little damage to Arcanine, putting it within KO range of Starmie. Starmie then goes down to Char. If Gyarados comes in, Gyarados just goes down to Char. I feel like the only way for our Charizard deck to lose right now is a a disconnect, maybe like a massive
Oh
mistake
no.
or a disconnect or something, because it's like it's kind of over. It feels like I don't see anything they can do.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a bad spot to be in right now. We do have 1 point for Al. I didn't mean to put that in. But yeah, this Arcanine seems to be sealing the deal a bit here.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
What could even? Yeah, they could Sabrina, and then the
over
full HP
Moltres?
Moltres comes in.
We don't want to pull 3 energies on this Vaporeon under any means,
No,
in my opinion.
you
Uh,
can't. Yeah, I
Pulling.
mean they're just. I think they're just playing everything out. Yeah, and that's the game. They're looking for any possible path to victory. Maybe they were just saying like, look, if I Sabrina and they make the biggest mistake of all time, something could happen, but they don't. So that is the game. GG.
Let's see if there's any games still going real quick here. And we can check that out. It does look like our top 16 has completed.
Okay.
Or has it? No, it hasn't. I'm dumb. This is
Okay.
top 8 is still filling out. Let's see. Who would we like to watch next? It seems like everyone is in their game 3 though.
Whatever is that you can pull up quick, let's do it and let's check it out. I'm happy to see any of it.
Leo. Let me quickly see who. That's 8 minutes old.
Yeah, moving forward in our tournament here, we have a Pika Raichu in the top 8, a Pika Zebstrika in the top 8, Pika Raichu, Charizard Arcanine. Geez, this is looking like a little bit before Mythical Island. Arcanine Moltres. Gary might be getting completely rinsed here.
Ouch.
No Celebi, no Gary, and Mewtwo nowhere to be found, right? Mewtwo goes down in the top 16.
It looks like it. Let's try to hop up to channel number 2 real quick, and hopefully we can get into that game. Okay. It is gonna be Golem versus what is this? Gyarados?
Yeah, I believe that's what this is, right? This is the Golem. Yeah, the Golem Gary. So Golem versus Gyarados Greninja.
Perfect. Let me just quickly pop this up on screen for everyone to see. So let's see here.
We can see from the perspective of our Gyarados player, they have that Druddigon in the active spot there, and they are now putting Magikarp down on the bench and powering it. On the other side, we have Geodude in the active spot. We saw Nino Leo playing a little earlier with this Golem deck, which is pretty exciting to have Golem possibly making it all the way to the top 8.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see. I mean, it may be, as you were saying, one of the few decks that has the Mystical Island going strong in it still left as we go into our top 8 here.
Geodude hits the bench for our Golem deck as well, and they're going to power the one on the bench, so not even worrying about dealing with Drud. And of course, you don't want to trade 20 for 20 a lot of the time, so there you go.
Especially with that Geodude being so low health. I wonder if they'll find their Golem. I am interested to see how it plays out here. I mean, we were talking earlier, those different breakers. I wonder if Golem 120, but only gets hit back 120 as well, 160 after it's tapped.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh. Misty starting real strong right here. Gary already has 4 water energy. If they're able to play something like Leaf, they could pull Drud back and just start swinging right away. Really, really hard for decks to come back from this. That is a very, very strong start for a water deck, and especially Gyarados, given how powerful it is.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, Misty is so strong here, getting it set up to potentially be swinging before Golem is even powered up. Nino Leo is going to need to find a Brock if they want to time up their power up, nearly the same time. We do, though, need some type of retreat from this Druddigon to get that Gyarados in the active spot. I wonder if we're going to find a Leaf. Let me just quickly checking. We already in the normal Gyarados list, 2 Druddigon, the 2-2-2 line for Greninja, 2-2 for Magikarp, and 2 Misties, 2 Leaf, 2 Reese Pokeball.
Yeah, the Leaf combination there, right, is just so incredibly strong, Ursi. It's just amazing, able to pull out this 2 retreat cost Druddigon. So if they do have that, that's going to just let them start attacking their opponent. Obviously, they have to be a little scared of Golem, right? Of trading with Golem. So even if they have it online, they maybe are going to be a little worried. If their opponent has Golem Brock, they could start swinging right back at them.
Exactly, yeah. And we do see Marshadow as well now that could get some extra damage in before Golem needs to come out. Especially since Gyarados is that 2-pointer versus the 1-pointers in Leo's deck. So it is currently 0-0. I reset the scoreboard. Start putting confusion, guys.
And here we are. There's the Leaf, the retreat right into Gary. We have the energy being put onto Gyarados as well in case the Rampaging Whirlpool takes the energy from it. If that energy is stolen from Graveler, this could be just so massive here. We're going to see what happens. They do the damage. And no, it's stolen from Gary. So we actually have a bit of a fight here, Ursi. If we get Golem into Brock, this could be something.
There's still a chance for Golem. It's really exciting to see some of these fighting decks still going, even though Pikachu's not. I mean, though Pikachu was has a lot of spots in the top 16. Oh, do we have Brock though?
I mean, the way they're playing it, they have to, and they do. They do have it. Wow. Okay.
Very cool to see. So Gyarados can only swing back for that 120 now because of the effect of the attack. Gyarados is wishing that the energy got tossed off of him right now, though.
Yeah, there was a 50-50 right there. I believe that's how it works. I believe every Pokemon is just counted as one. I don't think it matters how much energy is on each one. So I believe it was just 50-50 there. If Golem loses its energy, it's like they're in such a bad spot. They have to wait another turn before they can fight. We've got the Rampaging Whirlpool right now. Even if they take energy off of Golem now, it's not enough.
Yeah, I was wondering how the energy discard works. Because obviously, if it gets counted per energy, it is much different if it's just counting each Pokemon and be discarding off of that.
That's what I would guess. I'm curious if if someone's been able to figure out the math of it somehow. I don't know if we know that. Let me read the card here really quick, but I think that's how it works. Is just every Pokemon is considered as an option. It discards a random energy from among the energy attached. So you know what? Maybe it actually is based on the energy.
Huh. That's interesting. I think that is their game 3 though here, which means we have a Golem in our top 8.
Huge.
Insane. That is the last of our top 16 now. I'm actually correcting it this time. So I will pop up our metagame breakdown so we can look at that while we let our players get started in their top 8 matches.
Coming from the chat here, they say it puts all the energy in a pool and picks one randomly. So it actually was a higher likelihood that the energy would get removed from Gyarados right there. That's good to know because I wasn't exactly sure how that worked. But as I was reading the card as well, that is how it reads to me. Discard a random energy from among the energy attached to all Pokemon. So yeah, it would take all of the energy and then pick one right there.
That makes a lot of sense. So we are going to be letting them start up. Where'd my Discord go?
All right, what do we have coming up here? Let me take a look at this top 8. We've got a Raichu Pika against a Charizard Moltres. We have Golem going up against Pika Zebstrika. We have Charizard Arcanine going up against Pika Raichu, and we have the last Gary in the tournament going up against an Arcanine Moltres.
Very interesting. Wow, I can't believe. I mean, first off, wow, no Mewtwo, like you said earlier, but we literally went from 13 Gyaradoses to 1 in the top 8. Definitely very interesting to see. I'm surprised that we're not seeing more of it. think the only deck we haven't seen from here thus far is a Pikachu Raichu deck. So do you have a preference? It's Pikachu versus Charizard or Pikachu versus Arcanine?
I mean, both sound pretty fun. Let's take a look at the Pikachu versus Char.
Okay, so we're gonna be hopping into channel 3 then. I'll
Okay.
drag you in.
Langa.
I got deafened them, and I'll hop that up on screen real quick.
As they are getting ready for their next game here. I can hear the game here. And I'm giving everyone at home that same experience that I'm hearing.
How considerate of you. I'm sure they're really appreciative of it.
Bump. They're like, whoa, this guy does sound effects too. Holy.
A true musician, honestly.
Yeah, amazing. How can one person be
making...
so wrong about red card and do sound effects?
Insane. So we are against, I think, Super Hydro?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. And Pepino is the perspective we are going to be seeing here. They have Zapdos in the active spot with Moltres in the active spot on the other side. We can see them playing professors and just adding a lot of cards to their hand here.
Okay, so everything is up. So let's see here what we can. Oh, I just covered it up. There we go. What happens? I think Zapdos is a pretty good start versus Moltres. Obviously, Moltres is exactly what Hydro does want, but with no other basics in the bench, it doesn't matter how perfect the start is.
Yeah, here we go. Pika hits the bench. We have energy being attached to Pikachu right away. We have a lot. I mean, they just have so many cards here.
Yeah, this Pikachu is going strong. Oh my gosh.
I'm guessing that I think we saw them check the deck list for a second there. I'm guessing they were looking to see if they had red card or not.
That makes a lot of sense as well. Yeah, I mean, choosing to hold. Oh, I am. Choosing to hold the Pokemon in their hand is definitely a choice. So let's see here. There's no red card in this Charizard list.
Okay.
Which, I mean, you can see here exactly how the Pikachu is deciding to play differently than they might otherwise do so. The open deck list. We're having a Sabrina.
Yeah, now that you know your opponent does not have red card, you're able to make your hand as full as possible here so they can hide a lot of information from their opponents. And we have the Moltres trying to power Char here.
Yeah, he's going to need to get that set up fast, especially since Pikachu, but Charmander didn't appear, but for a turn late. Let's see.
They're getting ready to flip.
Oof,
great.
Exactly once. That Charizard. Now we just need Charmeleon to show up. Which is a whole question itself. Oh no. Do we have an X speed though? Because an X speed right here would be disastrous.
Yeah, this is gonna be wow. No. Yeah, and here comes the X speed. Charmander making it out. Pikachu. I mean, this is just so rough for this Char deck. This is pretty much game over, it feels like already.
Oof. Big ouch. Pikachu got so many new pieces this set. I mean, this Electabuzz on the bench is a bench sniper. It is... I'm not sure if it only hits bench or also the active spot, but it does do more than Zebstrika. I mean, they have a lower energy cost Paralyze. They even have a retreat stopper now with Garvantula. Like, this deck got so many pieces.
And I mean, look at the hand on the other side, but it's just, you know, you're looking at a almost fully set up Pika across the way. I feel like you're just thinking, like, what can I possibly do here? After a beautiful coin flip to get Char powered up, they just are not able to get it into Charmeleon fast enough. And even still, we have the possibility of that Pika, you know, filling the bench. So scary either way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like as the Charizard player, I'm just sitting there like, I don't know what I can even do. And with that, we do go into a concede. So we seem to have
Yeah.
a very negative outlook like we did as well.
Yeah. I mean, you start to feel like there really isn't much you can do here. Now they're taking some time looking at the deck list and such and reporting the win.
Sure.
Uh really, I mean, yeah, just a great setup, perfect Sabrina, and they were able to GG that very fast. Quick game.
Yeah, having a second Pokemon on that bench to protect Charmander is so important for that Charizard deck because Sabrina is just so weak to the Sabrina that Charmander gets knocked out by nearly everything.
Mhm.
I'm not sure there's really an answer to it when that happens other than, well, maybe I'll put on another Charmander and keep powering up. And they didn't even have a second Charmander to put down though, so.
Yeah, I think you just have to move on, unfortunately, from a match like that as we're getting ready for our next game here.
For
The coin
sure.
flip, Pikachu will be going first, and they're going to start building their active spot and their bench.
I'm just letting that game get started before I pop it up for stream, so that none of the extra hand stuff gets shown.
Great.
Since it's like expanded out during this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we do have the game up now for everyone to see. It is, again, Super Hydro versus Pepino, and
Yeah, here we go. Pikachu in the active spot.
Pikachu honestly has everything they need right now. They get to play so greedy without a red card in Super Hydro's deck.
It's true. Yeah, they get to hide a lot of information, not really let them know what their plan is, and they're able to just, depending on what they have in their hand, just put down a little bit here, a little bit there, and start doing some damage to their opponents. Always like leaving them wondering what exactly they're going to do as they're getting ready to play their first card here of this turn.
The new baby Pikachu is so cute.
Is very cute.
It's really similar to that Pikachu EX's attack. Really interesting that they decided to print that on a baby Pikachu here. But it looks like Yep, we are going to put down that new baby Pikachu, and it looks like going to retreat back, actually.
Interesting. Yeah, they're going to start doing some damage right away with Pikachu, and they're filling the bench. Electabuzz and Zapdos now making it out. So they decide to, be aggressive, be aggressive. 30 damage right here to Char.
Ouch. So that's going to be a really quick timer here for Super Hydro. Super Hydro needs to find their Moltres, and they need a way to retreat. No question about it. Does look like we have a defensive Sabrina come down. But honestly, if we don't have another Mon get swapped out for that Charmander, you just attach and pay the retreat and knock out, I feel like.
Yeah, not really much you can do here, right? They are just, it looks like they're just trying to buy time. Unfortunately, it seems like their hand, it feels like they bricked a little bit. They just don't have anything they're going to put down. They, of course, would love to get Moltres out there, but that is not something that they're able to do. Looking at the opponent's hand, or deck, excuse me, here again, trying to figure out what they still have in it.
Yeah, I'm assuming Super Hydro is really going to be looking for that Arcanine. Arcanine's a pretty good counter against most of the Pokemon in Pikachu's deck. But only running a 1-1 line makes it so risky to rely on that Arcanine right now. Yeah.
We have an option here to... Oh, they're just going to do the 20 damage right now. Interesting play. I was wondering if they were going to swap in, but obviously they don't want to lose this Pikachu, I guess is what they're thinking. And they're worried that they're just going to get, countered there with the Arcanine. Now we might have Char able to actually leave and Moltres for the power up. I mean, it may be unfortunate that they didn't pick up a KO here.
Yeah, all they had to do was retreat back, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't. But now Moltres is going to have their time to shine. If we can find Charmeleon and Charizard, this could still be Super Hydro's game. Yeah,
I wonder if the play was get Char out there. Obviously, they're powering up the Growlithe, right? So I think it's pretty clear what they have possibly in their hand, but it could be really nice depending on what they draw the next couple turns. They might get Charizard online.
Very true. Oh, 2 energies. Okay, not bad. Not the 3 they had last turn. But they're definitely depending on that Growlithe.
Interesting. Yeah. Where do they want to power here? Taking a look once again at their opponent's deck, just trying to get a good idea of what they may or may not have. They're going to power their Pikachu EX on the bench. Do a little damage here with Zapdos with the extra weakness. That's 40 onto the Moltres.
Yeah, and it is.
But they're giving him time to set up, Ursi.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. I mean, it is also to note that Electabuzz could take out that Charmander at any time if it's powered up. But I'm surprised Peppino is going to allow Hydro the turns they need to get the evolution mons. Because it feels like we could close this out pretty quickly.
Yeah, the Electabuzz is an interesting one, right?
For sure.
Now we have a possibility of a really good flip. However, we don't have Charmeleon yet. So, or at least if we do have it, we have not placed it on the bench here. It's possible that they are just thinking, look, if I put my Charmeleon down right now, there's a possibility that they just snipe it with Electabuzz. But given the fact that they're putting energy on it, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Charmeleon, I feel like you need to get Charmeleon down as early as possible because you are still looking for Charizard. It's not one where you can immediately have that next turn. I don't know. It's kind of, I mean, it's definitely a little bit confusing. But I'm surprised we're not even powering with Moltres with the hand attaches.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. At any point, they could try to get Electabuzz in, right? And they could try to make a play happen. And it would be a really annoying play. It would mess with their opponents in a big way.
Yeah, it puts them in a range of where just a single correct Zapdos flip means that Arcanine or the Arcanine or the Moltres down would end the game and put Peppino into top 4.
It's a tough spot here. They're trying to decide how they want to handle it. It does feel like maybe getting rid of Char is ideal, right? If at all possible. They are thinking about powering Electabuzz. They're running out of time. Only 20 seconds left. They're going to need to make a decision here. Clock is ticking. 10 seconds left. 5 seconds left. Boy.
Ouch.
Look, I've done it.
It happens to all of us, honestly. It does happen to all of us.
I mean, they're trying to figure out what to do, but you know, that's rough.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Pikachu has so many attackers, though. There's definitely too many options sometimes of what you want to do, but
Yeah, just really unfortunate. I mean, they obviously they went to go attack with Zap. It just didn't happen.
Not in time.
Still no Charmeleon? Is that right?
It looks like no Charmeleon still, and no Arcanine. On the plus side, Peck doesn't really put this Moltres in too many different breakers. Pikachu already one-shots it. It would put it at, what, 60 health? And
Wow. Well, you know, this is kind of a fun play.
Sure, we'll hit it. Yeah, we hit it. Okay. Just enough.
Yep. And now Arcanine, I assume, is coming out, looking for the KO on Zapdos, right? And they're going to try to throw one back the other way.
Yeah, sadly, Arcanine can't even one-shot Zapdos here, so we're in a bit of a problem spot. I'm not really sure exactly how we're going to be playing this out. It does feel like Game 2 is probably going to be going to Peppino despite losing out on an entire turn.
Do they have Geo in the Arcanine deck?
Let me double check, but I think they do. Let's see. Oop, that's...
Char hits the bench. Wow, they really have not drawn their Charmeleon at all.
We're running 1 Giovanni and 2 Lieutenant Surge.
No, sorry, not in the Pika deck, in the Charizard deck. Oh no, well clearly, if they have it, they didn't have it in their hand. So yeah, there we go. A Raichu would be massive right now.
Yeah, so no Giovanni in Hydro's list. So very problematic right now. I'm surprised we're not powering up this Electabuzz at all. because it would obviously just be able, it needs an extra energy to be able to knock out that next turn.
Yeah, Raichu now hitting the board here, and it just feels like they're kind of, it's like checkmate a lot of different ways. Could they have already finished? They could have just finished the game, right, with Electabuzz there?
Yeah, they could, if they had an extra, if they had powered it up earlier, they could have, yeah.
Well, couldn't they power it up with Surge too?
Oh, Electabuzz can be used by Surge. That is correct. That is correct. I always forget that it doesn't only work on Raichu and Voltorb.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of forget that it has the power with Electabuzz. They used Oak. Oh, did they use Oak to pull Surge? Is that what it was? Maybe that's what it was. Okay. Feels like if they had Surge, they could have just retreated Zapdos, but
yeah, I think they did already have the Lieutenant Surge. It looks like we're having both in hand right now.
Yeah, okay. So
we still are going to be getting a win on Peppino's side. It does look like.
Yeah, I think it's kind of over either way, right? But I guess, you know, that's
let's see.
They're going to X speed.
It should be an X speed back, but again, Electabuzz is any turn right now to take that game.
Have they really not drawn Charmeleon this whole time? Man, that is so crazy. So crazy.
We did talk about this earlier. The stage ones like to be at the bottom of the deck.
I can't believe we did talk about this. We were like, you know what's the worst is when it's the stage one and you're waiting for it all game. I mean, just absolute horrible draws for our Charizard player here.
Honestly.
As they are trying to power their bench, get some energy onto the Charmander. The game could still just be over if Peppino wants to end it.
And
they're just going to put it in Raichu. Okay.
But it's going to be game 2 for them, and it's 2-0 for Peppino. Just quickly checking to see who we can hop into next here.
Okay. Kind of an odd way for Peppino to win that. But yeah, I mean, their deck definitely won. Some interesting plays, but I mean, their opponent bricked so incredibly hard that it did not matter.
Yeah, that is for sure. So we could hop into that Gyarados match. It does seem it just started. Let me see what channel they would be in here. It looks like
yeah, it'd be our last Gary in the tournament. A lot of the chat is saying Golem too, so either one I think would be exciting.
Yeah, we could do either. Let's see. We could hop down. Which one do you prefer?
I might want to see Gary because it could be the last time we see Gary, but it also could be the last time we see Golem. So, you know, flip a coin either way. Everyone in the chat's saying Golem, so I feel like we got to give the people what they want.
Okay, let's hop in. It's gonna be channel 10.
All right.
Let me quickly get that on stream here. Oh, yeah.
Okay, and we're watching the perspective of the Golem here, correct?
We are watching the perspective of the Golem this time, which is going to be our first time.
Okay, cool. Taking a look at Golem here against this Lightning deck. We have Golem currently in the active spot with 4 energy on it. Dedenne on the other side, and it has paralyzed the Golem. So Golem is sitting here not able to attack this turn. On the bench on the other side, we have 2 Pikachu EXs, Zapdos EX. One of the Pikachus ready to go here with 2 energy. We have Golem, Marshadow, Drudagon on the other side. Is it Drudagon or Drudagon?
I think it's Drudagon.
Okay,
Drudagon. I think it's Drudagon. But it might be my southern accent. I have a pretty heavy southern accent when I'm not being conscious to hide it. So
my trick is I pronounce every Pokemon's name wrong, so I would listen to somebody else for sure before me.
Oh, I too do that, so you still can't listen to me.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, I feel like the majority of the casting is people just trying to tell me how to pronounce the names. So it is a pretty bad quality stream, so sorry about that, guys. But hopefully we'll get to watch some of these fun gameplays. bit difficult though, for sure. Some of our players are in different locations. But we are 2-0 right now with Nino Leo leading with 2 points. I'm just going to double check.
There we go. Nino taking this game, possibly moving forward here in this tournament, depending on where they are in this series so far.
They may have just been in game 1.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like that was game 1. So I did close that so that chat can't see them while they're doing the passwords real quick. And we'll be going into game 2. So,
from the chat, this is how I see without my glasses. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that at one point we all watched games. Well, maybe not all of us, but when you would watch streams and stuff like this, it was kind of in this quality and we never thought about it. And now seeing this, it's like, it's aggressive. It feels like it hurts.
Yeah, a little bit for sure,
but it's amazing that we get to see these perspectives of all these players. Like you said, we have players from all over the world with so many different devices and things like that. So it's really cool to see.
Exactly, for sure. It's the tournament. I'm lucky enough that it's super international. We've had players from Japan win, players from Brazil, players from Spain, even from France. So super happy that everyone is willing to tune in and watch and play, despite any type of lag they might have with all these having to stream. So let me just pop out that game now, and we'll be getting into it. It is that Geodude in the active spot for Nino Leo here versus a Pikachu from Godpack.
I gotta love it. I love that you said even France. Like, when we know how they play. Even France.
That is not what I was trying to say. That's not what I was trying to say. Last tournament was won by Starlight, who is from France. So I wanted to make sure to add it in there.
Yes, no, I know you didn't mean anything by it. It's just I'm just being dumb, but it is very fun, and it's really cool that the community around this game, like the international community, is very strong. You and I were talking before the stream a little bit about possible official support from Pokemon, and given how popular this game is in so many different regions, I think it's extremely likely that we see something like this on like the professional Pokemon circuit at some point.
Yeah,
I think so for sure.
I would love that. I was talking to some of the Japanese players on Twitter, and they were telling me about how they don't have as large of tournaments as us, but they have multiple tournaments every single day going on some of their platforms. So it does seem like it is just exploding everywhere, and I absolutely love to see it. I saw some Twitter post with like 100,000 likes. That was just a guy using Budding Expeditioner on his Mew alone in the active spot. And it was like, what is? I loved it.
I've done that. I had to do that like early on in this game with Koga. I had to go, is this gonna happen? Am I gonna lose? And yes, you do lose right away, pulling your Pokemon out of the active spot with nothing on your bench there. So we're taking a look here. This is game 2, correct, Ursi?
Yep, game 2 right now.
Okay, cool. So we've got Pikachu EX in the active spot for our opponents. We've got the Marshadow getting powered up on the bench, and the Druddigon there as well. Zebstrika on the other side. They could make some really exciting plays if they want to start sniping at the bench.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do, because obviously Marshadow, I'm not sure how Marshadow's attack interacts with Zebstrika, but obviously Marshadow does one-shot Pikachu even with only 2 energies, even though Golem is the main attacker in this deck.
Interesting play there from Pika, right? We don't know how many more they could fill on their bench, but they don't want to let Marshadow get that revenge KO. So instead, they decide to do only 30 damage to Geodude here, kind of put them in this like annoying position to be in, maybe deciding if they want to retreat, but then seeing on the other side that they have Zebstrika, I feel like you don't really want to pull this Pokemon out too quickly. It's very fun play there from our Pikachu player.
Yeah, I agree. That's super smart on the Pikachu's side. It does stop the Pikachu from getting early KO'd by that Marshadow. But obviously Pikachu's probably not going to be hitting into that Druddigon next, and Zebstrika can just shoot right around it. We do have a potion come down though as well, and we're just going to keep hitting it. Looks like 40 here.
Yeah, so now they're kind of putting Pikachu in a tough spot too. So they had the opportunity possibly to evolve into Graveler, but instead of taking an option like that, they're deciding, I'm going to keep throwing fists at you. I want you to KO me here. So Marshadow comes in and picks up a massive 2-point KO on an EX Pokemon. Instead, we have the retreat into Zebstrika, which we kind of expected, and the damage right in front of him onto the Geodude.
Yeah, so that Geodude is definitely on a timer here. It has 1 turn left, but Marshadow isn't too concerned. I mean, they're not concerned about a Marshadow taking a 1-point attacker when Pikachu could potentially just swing right back against it. So we are going to see an evolution of Graveler, though, which does bring us to 60 health, safe out of that Zebstrika's range. And this will be 60 damage, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be really powerful. I think the big question right now for our Pika player, right, is do they have Golem? And if they have Golem, do they also have Brock? And what do I want to sacrifice to possibly get rid of Graveler right here? Because if they do move in with Pika, they're kind of guaranteeing that Pika goes down, but they also could be stopping their big Pokemon from coming online. It's a tricky situation to be in.
Yeah, the Graveler, if evolved to Golem, will have, I think, 100 health, if I'm doing the math correctly. Pikachu could potentially hit it, but if we've already hit into Zebstrika, he can only do 80 health with the Giovanni. That's assuming all the bench spots gets filled up. And then, obviously, Golem can just one-hit KO that Pikachu back.
Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in for our Pika player right now. You've got to like of all the talk about what would happen with this meta, it's so wild that Golem is kind of really the story of the day. Gyarados is sort of getting routed in so many of these moments. We have Mewtwo nowhere to be found, Celebi nowhere to be found, and Golem, this like really fun Golem deck moving through this tournament. It's very cool.
I absolutely love seeing it. I do wonder if we move up this Marshadow here, because even if Zebstrika doesn't knock anyone out, 40 damage is enough to KO this Zebstrika, and we can power up that potentially a Golem on the bench.
Yeah, now our Pika player, God Pack, right, is going to need to make some decisions here. So they could KO Marshadow with Pika, but then they go down to Golem, obviously.
And they do need 2
if
more
that's
basics.
online. Yeah, they need more basics. It's a tough one.
For sure. I think I heard a Zebstrika attack. There we go. Yep, so it is going to be a Zebstrika attack onto that Marshadow. Marshadow can KO that Zebstrika. Oh, but we're going to retreat back to Golem instead. Oh.
Yeah. Retreating to Golem, and we are going to Brock the Golem. Golem now 4 energy on it, ready to go, and they're going to swing onto Zebstrika. Pika's going to have to power the entire bench, but even if they power the entire bench, it's not enough to KO Golem here.
Yeah, he'd have to hit for 140, and there's no Zapdos powered up on the bench to even try.
Yeah. I think there's I can't think of a way they get out of this. We're gonna see. Oh well, there is actually one way that they get out of this, and it's the cheesiest possible way, maybe, and that is the paralyze with Dedenne. All right, let's see what happens here.
Oh my god, I love this. Dude, Dene is actually the MVP of this list. I'm just gonna state it real quick. I'm making the Dene MVP.
I fully believe it. This does no damage, by the way.
Oh, so this actually can't even win us the game.
Well, it can now, because now Golem can't attack. So now Golem can actually take 10 damage. This is crazy. Just 11 more, and that's the game. Or no, 12 more.
Yeah, just needs 12 more. Just 12 more. Easy. Easy work.
Easy. Not hard.
12.
Not really tough.
What is it? 0.5 to the 12th power? I don't know what that is. I don't even want to think.
Normally I do that math in my head just about every morning, but this morning I didn't, so I also don't know what that is.
Dang it,
I think it's unlikely.
You're letting us down here. How dare you didn't do the morning math?
Sorry, I didn't do my morning math, everybody. I know everyone in the chat's done their morning math, but I kind of got up early, and I wasn't able to do the morning math. I was too excited to be here. I just had to psych myself up in the mirror when I normally do my morning math.
Understandable, understandable. Well, we're happy you're here. We're going to have another Dedenne paralyze.
Okay. Well, they're going for it.
We don't hit.
Ooh.
Chat has been nice enough to let us know it is a 0.002.4% chance. Or sorry, 0.02% chance. There you go.
Okay, so not likely.
Not likely.
Yeah. Golem swinging. Yeah, I don't think there's no way out now that we can see, right? If they had a fully powered zap and they rolled, they could hit enough coin flips, but I just don't think there's anything they can do here.
Let's see.
Maybe they're gonna look for it. Tell me they pull another rat. Tell me they have another Dedenne here.
It was another Dedenne. That would be legendary for sure. That's the only one Dedenne in list, so it would be a game loss if they had a second Dedenne.
I guess Zap could take a single hit, right? Without Geo.
Yeah, because it is one of those electric Pokemon allergic only to electric. I mean, weak to electric.
So with no Geo, they could take a hit.
That is true, yeah.
Let
me just double check on our list here. I wonder if we are running Geo. We are running one Geo, so it is a potential. It is potential.
They have one Geo, you said?
They have one Geo in Nino's list.
All right. Well, I mean, they've drawn almost everything in their deck.
Oh, and Giovanni.
There it is. Yeah, Giovanni's here.
Oh, we already
that's GG.
That is going to be a game 2.
Yeah, that was just really hard for this lightning deck to do too much into this fighting deck, right?
For sure. I mean, it did already brick at the beginning, but that type advantage is just so hard for Pikachu. That's why Marowak did make it into some top 16s in the past, but obviously Pikachu did not pull out this game. But that does mean Golem is going to be in our top 4, which is very exciting.
Looking at the top 4 here, that means we have a Pika Raichu, we have a Golem Druddigon, we have a Charizard Arcanine, a little Charcanine, and we have an Arcanine Moltres in the top 4. So outside of that Golem, this is looking, I mean, pretty similar to a Genetic Apex tournament.
Yeah, very interesting though. Minus no Mewtwo's. So.
Well, that's true. Yeah, actually, one big exception. Mewtwo. I can't believe with Mythical Slab, Mewtwo's going down. That's just a card to even the power Mewtwo even better. No Celebi, no Mewtwo, no Gary, no Scolipede in the top 4.
Yeah, I think that's something really interesting to note though, is that there is so many counters to Mewtwo. Gyarados, Scolipede, but without as many of those Mewtwo's here. I mean, obviously he still got knocked out here. All those counters are gone as well. Or did Mana? Yeah. Is Mana Gyarados? No. Yeah, so all of them are knocked out as well. I'll really quickly bring up that metagame, and we will be streaming both of the top 4 today, so we can check out to see our different bracket here. Our first game is going to be Peppino versus Nino Leo again, so that's going to be really interesting to watch. I mean,
yeah, Golem possibly heading, to the grand finals would be really exciting, right? That's just very cool. Pikachu still has representation in this tournament. And on the other side, we have 2 fire decks going at each other.
So I'm just letting Peppino and Leo know that they are going to be starting. But yeah, I think this can be so interesting to watch for sure. So we can hop into channel 1. They'll boot up the stream in a second here. So we will be watching that Pikachu POV.
Great. Okay. Yeah, this is just it's going to be really exciting here to see how this all shakes out. I gotta say, at the start of the day, I wanted Gary to win. Then when I saw so many Gyaradoses, I wanted Gary to lose. Now that it's not here, I feel a little hollow. Like I wanted to see Gyarados make it all the way to the end here. Somehow, I was worried that it was just going to be Gary mirrors all day. But this is a really exciting way for this tournament to end. And I do think that like the big story for this whole thing is going to be in a lot of people's mind, of course, how poorly Celebi performed.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Celebi actually outperformed Mewtwo in this tournament, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, that's actually insane. Yeah, there's so many counters against the Mewtwo deck, so I'm not like super surprised. But then Celebi doesn't have a spot in the top 32. We then think Gyarados is absolutely cracked.
Mhm.
Finals might even be two Gyaradoses. Gyaradoses, my bad.
Yes.
And so
Yeah, get it right. We know the plural now.
my bad, guys. I can't even pronounce the Pokemon correctly. My God.
But yeah, I agree. It's just like a really exciting way for this to shake out. I still think Gary is clearly a meta deck, right? Like it's clearly very strong. It's going to be interesting to see how Mewtwo and Celebi reorganize to sort of bounce back from a week that does not look great for them.
For sure, for sure. It'll be interesting. I wonder how the decks are going to change over the next week. Obviously, they'll have the time to shine next week if they can come back strong. But who knows? Who knows? Just going to quickly fix the title here on our stream. We are currently doing our first top 4. We're into our semifinals. And I will go on and pop that up on the screen for me watching Nino Leo versus Pepino.
That's right. We have our matchup here. Nino Leo, of course, running that Golem deck. Pepino with our last Lightning deck in the tournament as they are getting set up here. We have Electabuzz in the active spot. We've got Geodude in the active spot on the other side. Nothing that they can really put on the bench here yet, or nothing they're deciding to put on the bench at least, as we have our opponents looking for something to start their turn. They can start swinging right now. A lot of damage from Geodude here.
Yeah, it's going to be a big damage with that type advantage. That's going to be 40, and that really puts Pepino on a bit of a clock.
You know, one nice thing running a Golem deck when the Celebi deck, really the only grass deck we're seeing, right? We don't see much Venusaur or anything like that at all. It's interesting when the only grass deck we see doesn't perform that well, because fighting does really well, especially this fighting with a grass weakness here. It's just you're not running into too many bad situations, and you've got a nice type advantage in a Pika that's performing quite well.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if with maybe a spike of fighting next week, could Celebi perform better? Could we see top 32? I wonder how much of this Golem is going to appear, though. It does seem pretty consistent against all decks, not just the types that it has the type advantage against. We saw it do pretty well into Gyarados earlier,
We're going to see what they want to do here. It looks like they're just actually going to let Electabuzz go down, possibly, in that active spot. Power Zapdos on the bench. Onto the other side, they're going to obviously look to power into Golem. We don't know how much of the line they have yet or not, but you know, Graveler, this new Graveler attacks for 2, right? So you have this nice little curve with Geodude into Graveler Golem right now. Geodude, if you're going turn 2, will attack. Then on turn 4, you can evolve and attack. Then on turn 6, you could evolve and Brock and attack, which is just a really strong line for Golem right now. Graveler, this new Graveler helps out a lot.
For sure. I mean, it is 3 turns that you have to get that Brock. So that's plenty of time, in all honesty. That Graveler is going to appear. That's going to be 60 damage, but 30 is all it needs. And Zapdos is only going to do 20 next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, this is already looking really bad for our Lightning deck. Electabuzz going down, and if that Golem's ready to go, this is just very, very scary. And you've got to hope that they've got something in their hands, some play that they can make into this, because this is just looking so bad here. We saw what they drew, which is, you know, if you're looking to build a bench, that's not great, seeing an E-speed right there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it looks like we're going to be poking into Geodude, so it doesn't look like we want to be facing off with Golem just yet. I mean...
yeah, this is just so tough.
We're going to need a follow-up Sabrina as well if we even want this to work into a Golem. And Golem to not have a... well, I guess they can't leave. Are they running any X-speeds?
I'm not sure.
Just quickly.
They're playing Professor right here, so maybe they didn't have actually the Golem ready to go, which would be a little heartbreaking for Zapdos. It's possible that the play was just to put a little damage onto Golem. Golem's HP, I think, is 160, this new Golem, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering right.
it
So if they did
is.
put 20 onto it, you know, they could flip enough heads, but maybe they're thinking it doesn't really matter. If they were to guard press me, they take -30 from attacks anyway. So hopefully they can stall here, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more difficult, in my opinion, to hit the 4 heads with the Zapdos. So I'm not sure why we didn't put any damage in that Graveler. We do see a Marshadow come down as well now that'll protect against a second Sabrina. But Marshadow also basically KOs the Zapdos. All you need is that one Giovanni from Nino Leo's list. If we do knock out this Geodude, our little mouse may appear as well, which will be fun. But it doesn't seem like the Dene is going to do much at this point.
Huh, interesting. So we're going to be flipping onto this Golem here, picking up a KO.
Yeah, so we do
Or, excuse me, onto this Geodude, picking up a KO. They get 1 point, and now the question is, do they have Golem on the other side? If they do, they don't have the energy to power it.
Yeah, I mean, they could have a Giovanni with the Marshadow, like we just mentioned. Doing, oh, we can't because the type advantage is in here. I keep forgetting Zapdos doesn't have the type advantage of the other electric Pokemon. So, not an option, but 40 damage is still a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it could do 100 damage here, which would be pretty nice. But obviously, Nino right now is just praying for a Golem if they didn't have it already. And no, they're running Professors, so to me that says they are just searching their deck for this card.
That's nice to get the 2 researches though when we're still looking for Golem. I mean, they are gonna probably want another basic again just to put down another, you know, to find that basic to protect against the Sabrina. But it does seem like we are gonna be digging for that Golem, and we haven't found it just yet. We don't even get to power it up even.
Interestingly enough, though, I mean, let's say they were to Sabrina this Graveler. Marshadow would come back in and do more damage.
Very true.
So,
very true.
You know, we got 100 coming at her. We could have 100 again.
Oh, and I put the point.
So there we go. Zap is now on 30. They have Hitmonlee to bait the Sabrina, but I think they're just going to have to pull Zapdos out of this now and start building the rest of their bench here.
The problem is they can't
Hitmonlee is so
either.
scary, though, because, yeah, Hitmonlee just kicks it.
Exactly. I mean, it seems like a bad spot for Peppino to be in right now. An Electabuzz player meets their rival, Hitmonlee.
Yeah, I mean, Hitmonlee can just kick it for 30, and there's absolutely nothing they could do. Yeah, that's GG.
That's gonna be GG?
Wow.
We'll cover
Hitmonlee! I mean, the Hitmonlee, just the presence of Lee saying you cannot play right now.
Oh my gosh.
Wild.
Absolutely insane. I'll reset the scoreboard here. But ouch.
In the chat, how broken is Lee? I mean, it's the most broken card in the game right now, apparently. When you win like that, it's the most broken card. That's how that works. That's how we decide what's broken, is it's the last match you watched and the card that really put them in checkmate.
Very true, very true. That's the only decider for...
That's how it worked for me. That's as far as my memory can really go with some of this, Ursi. So whatever just happened, that's the most broken thing.
Okay, guys, we got to hit the 4-coin Zapdos attack here so that we can be the most OP again. Pikachu, let's go. Let's see. We're getting them set up again. It seems like a bit of a bad start again, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, starting with that Electabuzz in the active spot, and it's a good card for some of the, you know, the snipes that you're looking for, but it's not the card you want to start with, it feels like, right?
Exactly.
However, they do have Pikachu EX, so there's some plays they could make here.
And it does seem like against Druddigon, maybe not the worst. Druddigon's not going to be attacking, and we can start hitting those Pokemon on the bench that Electabuzz is able to hit.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, Electabuzz could be nice here. They're able to do some damage to those bench Pokemon and try to stop them from getting set up.
Yeah, I mean, if Hitmonlee is the most OP card in the game, then I think Electabuzz is a pretty strong second. It does need an extra energy. Is 10 health less, but could be strong. What do you think, Spraggles?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that costs multiple energy when you want to power up other cards can always be tough.
Yeah.
We're going to see how they want to play this. If they power Pika, yeah, which looks like they're considering. Yeah, they're going to power this Pikachu, and that means they're going to try to take down Drud. I can't remember. Did you say this Pika deck also has Giovanni in it?
This Pikachu did have 1 Giovanni and 2 Lieutenant Surge.
So they have an option here to possibly take down Drud. They also have, you know, a Sabrina option at some point to possibly bring in Golem. I don't think they're going to power anything else. They could like threaten them a little bit with Zapdos getting powered up, because Zapdos is kind of a counter to Golem.
Very true. You can potentially swing for those 4 heads and still KO Golem.
Yeah. We also, of course, could see Electabuzz just start doing some damage here. Again, as we mentioned a little earlier, it's like the last Pokemon you think of when you think of Lieutenant Surge, but they can pull energy onto Electabuzz.
Definitely an option. Definitely an option here. And with that Geodude getting set up on the bench, I don't think there's... oh, it's Graveler now. If we had it still as a Geodude, I think it would have been a better option because Graveler is only 100. And you know, Leo is only running 1 potion, which is going to be pretty hard to find in the deck.
Here we go. Energy on Electabuzz. A Surge powers it to do some damage now. And they decide to not... They just decide to end their turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to take the energy off Pikachu too soon, I guess. Definitely always a little bit of a risk. But at least in the case of Electabuzz, we're not discarding our energies like a Raichu does.
Yeah, that's true. Now they're kind of threatening their opponents, right? With they're saying, look, I will start hitting your bench if you don't put something out here to fight me. And I don't think, obviously, they don't want to put that Graveler out there because they don't want it to go down to Pika. And they also could be hiding the fact that they have Golem, no Brock right now.
Very true.
You know, it's a tough spot here.
Yeah, we can't retreat with his Druddigon if we do Brock either. We'll need a Leaf one of these turns, so I wouldn't... Maybe it's just a hand attached to this Graveler and pass. But...
Yeah. I'm guessing they're powering Graveler still. So they're presenting as if they have Golem, which maybe they put energy on Electabuzz here and just chip at it a little.
Definitely an option here. I mean, even maybe putting damage on the Hitmonlee, but you can get that full 50 damage right now onto Graveler while it's still taking instead of that minus 30 every turn, which could potentially be good. Puts it at, what, 110 if it evolves into a Golem. And if it doesn't have Golem, yep, that's going to be then a 2-shot if he doesn't have Golem.
Yeah,
it's
it does
40,
40.
not 50. I'm a dummy there.
Yeah. But it's still a lot, right? It's still like putting them in a scary position. I'm guessing, okay, here's the Leaf, which would lead me to believe we're going right into Golem, no Brock necessary, and they're going to KO Electabuzz. With the energy on Electabuzz, they're not able to power Raichu for a big counterattack here.
Yeah, but with that Electabuzz attack, this Golem, even after he attacks, is going to be in range of a potential Zapdos 3 heads. Obviously, out of range just by a 10 against the Raichu, but...
Yeah, this is tough. It looks like they needed to power Electabuzz, as quickly as they could to possibly put some damage on the bench there. And there goes Electabuzz.
Yep, that's going to be a 0.1 for Nino.
And now the question is, what do they do here? Zap coming out.
Just for a fun note, this Golem Druddigon deck is one of 3 that was played in this tournament. Meanwhile, 1,589 players played, but one of 3 made it into the top 4 now. Actually insane.
I feel like Golem is pretty dang good. I feel like it's a really strong card, and especially it not being an EX, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of like good Melmetal, it feels like, honestly. It just has enough HP and enough damage after like a damage reduction after attacking. It just feels like maybe like actually what would have been really strong for Melmetal.
Yeah, no, it definitely is kind of a good Melmetal here, which is funny to say. We have a lot of Melmetal fans in the chat. So hopefully they won't
Sorry,
get too
guys.
offended by that. Hopefully they
I
won't get too offended
apologize.
by that.
But this does feel like sorry to all the Melmetal heads out there, but this feels like, Melmetal is the Golem you have at home. So
Exactly.
unfortunately, new Golem on top, Melmetal. How many Melmetal decks were played, Ursi?
Melmetal decks. We can check that out real quick. I'm trying to see that was game. Yep, that was game 2, so we can get to the next one very shortly. But let me check real quick. That'd be a funny. Let's see. Melmetal. We had one Melmetal played with an Aerodactyl.
Okay, all right,
That's all though.
that's
So
fun.
sad.
That's a fun look. It's a fun idea. I like the metal decks. It just feels like it is positioned so poorly. I can't wait for the next set because I think metal is getting like one or at least maybe 2 EX Pokemon. I'm thinking like we get Steelix. I'm thinking we get like Scizor, something like that. Like some really strong metal opportunities. Skarmory, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
So Golem heading to the grand finals.
Absolutely insane. My mods were awesome enough that they actually dragged our next person into our channel with us. So we don't even have to hop anywhere. So let me just pop that up. This one is going to be a Charizard Arcanine versus Arcanine Moltres with me.
All right.
So
close. We're just gonna have to see really who can get set up faster, obviously, and how that's gonna play out here. One of these fire decks will be taking on Golem in our grand finals. And we saw Golem earlier. Golem took down Gary. Golem took down Pikachu. Golem took down another Pikachu. But so far on stream, I don't think we've seen them against fire, right?
did we see them?
Or
against
maybe
an
we
Arcanine,
did.
I think. Right?
I think we did. Maybe we did see them early against fire too. Yeah, against Dracon. Wow.
Okay.
I mean, Golems really they've gone against everything that they could possibly face in the grand finals. So, geez, Golem's looking good right now.
That is for sure. They've gone against the whole charcuterie board of the metagame.
That's a fun way to look at it. The charcuterie board of this metagame, which a lot of people thought would be full of Celebi and Mewtwo, but it's looking a little different here today.
I think they had almost, oh my god, how much did they had of the meta? It is 34% was Celebi, Mewtwo EX. Not a single one in the top 4. And I don't think, was there one in top 8? I don't think there was.
No. I think Mewtwo got to top 16, maybe? Yes,
Ouch.
Mewtwo got to top 16. And I don't know where Celebi got, but regardless, neither of them performing well. A 43% win rate for Mewtwo. I won't shed a single tear. A 43% win rate for Celebi. I might cry a little bit. I mean, when the
A little bit. I cried a little bit.
I mean, yeah, I'd cry a little here. I was hoping we'd see a little more of Scolipede. It is a really cool deck, but with Mewtwo doing so poorly, you're not as often running into the big thing you want to counter, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's interesting. We had Executor Celebi actually do a little bit better than the Celebi Superior, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think that Baby Executor is the new one is so good into the mirror match for Celebi. So maybe they were facing off against each other a bit here. I'm going to go on and get us into that match now.
Great.
It is up on stream. We've started Moltres on our side of the Charizard player. Yep, Charizard player. And our Arcanine player is starting with Growlithe.
All right. Here we go. I mean, obviously you want the Moltres start, right? It feels like you're in a much better position here. They're considering red carding turn 1.
I don't think I would here. I don't think that's where you don't do it here. If Moltres was down, Moltres would be in the active spot right now. We do not red card here, but we're gonna see the red card come down.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are they did not have Moltres, and you may have given them the card they were looking for, but hey, maybe the rest of their hand, maybe they had some really they were hoping like, hey, I'm going to red card, obviously not basic Pokemon. I'm going to red card possibly Arcanine EX or something like
That
that.
is true, yeah. Now Mana is the only one with a red card. So Mana can play as greedy as they want now as well, though, now that the red card's been played. Okay, Moltres appears.
Yeah. This
What,
is I mean, if they have Moltres and possibly an X speed or something like that, that
or
would
a
be very
leaf.
nice for them.
They are running 2 X speed and a leaf, so they could research, still find an X speed and stuff like that. Or
Yeah.
have their leaf in hand. But
See what they get here. They're gonna power Moltres and possibly just wait for the
yep.
retreat here. Yeah, they're just gonna wait because they did not get the X speed. So they got the Moltres from that exchange. They did not get the X speed. On the other side, though, look at this great setup right here.
For
Arcanine's ready to
sure.
go, and they're ready to power it.
Um, so we are going to be going on and Infernal Dancing. If we get 3 energies, we could be swinging as soon as next turn.
Ooh, and they're getting their coin ready.
Ooh, 1.
We got 1. We got 2.
Oh,
Wow. Great start, though. I
yeah.
mean, this is really good for Al. Regardless of how much that red card did or did not benefit their opponent, they didn't have the ability to start powering, and Al did. So,
Yep. Very good serve for Al. We do have that X speed come down now. I wonder if that was a top deck. I'm assuming it is. And we are going to see the Moltres being able to power up this turn. I'm assuming we're not going to see a Charmander since that X speed was probably the top deck.
yes, that's what I would guess, right? We don't know what else they have in their hand here. They could be hiding the fact that they have Arcanine.
Very true. Could see it come down. Hmm.
And because obviously, as they've already played red card, they don't need to give their opponent any information right now. They're
Exactly.
they're well aware that they know what they have and what they don't, basically at this point.
There is a
They,
world though, Sabrina, right? Sabrina knockout.
mm-hmm,
Bit of a
which could be
problem.
big.
On energy.
Yeah.
I wonder if, I mean, we have an X speed. We could just go on a retreat and start swinging this turn, especially if we assume they don't have an Arcanine.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, even if they have it, they can't power it next turn. So I think this is just really not looking good here. They're going to use,
Ooh,
they were considering using 2 X speeds
I could see
so
if they
that they
use it
would
too.
retreat Moltres for free. Instead, they do discard 1 energy. They put Arcanine in and they start swinging.
Yeah. That's going to be 120 into that Moltres now, who needs to kind of power up that Growlithe. So I don't know if he's going to be able to retreat here.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Here comes another Moltres, so they're giving themselves an out here. There's time. They could pull this Moltres out. They could. Ooh, Sabrina, the other Moltres in. So they're going to need to spend possibly to retreat once again.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I think saving that X speed might have been the correct play for Al, because we would have still had an energy on that Moltres. You could hand attach this turn and retreat for 2 if we don't have Leaf. But that being said, we are holding an X speed, and we could still use it this turn with the hand attach.
Huh. So, okay.
I'm not sure about wasting potions on the Moltres, but
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the thought process was here. Maybe they don't want Charizard to come out and KO it, right? In one. If they just drop Char, they pull Moltres back, you put 1 energy on Charizard, you pick up a KO. Or Charmander, excuse me, you pick up a KO. Maybe that's what they're trying to avoid with a play like that.
maybe. But I mean, we're just going to see retreat back to Arcanine. The potion didn't save anything, and I mean, the Arcanine can't even come out now. If we'd Inferno Danced, at least we could potentially have a powered up Arcanine.
Yeah, my only thought is, I think you're right. My only thought is maybe what they were trying to do right there was just make sure that Charmander can't get dropped on the board and one shot it, but yeah.
I don't know.
and now they're going to look to power the bench. Obviously, they still don't have Arcanine on the board.
Yeah. So if we have a Sabrina on the side of Al, this is going to be a game 1 for the Charizard, which I do think is not the one the Golem wants to make or see in the finals.
Yeah. Not a great draw. That Charmeleon doesn't seem to help them too much, right? As they are now going to, looks like, power the other Moltres. They can still continue to swing here with Arcanine. Arcanine can now go down to their opponent's Arcanine, obviously. Could have last turn as well. Now it can go down to their opponent's Arcanine, only 90 HP. They need to get this Moltres out, and they need to put a powered up Arcanine in.
They still have the turn to do it, so it's definitely an option. They could then KO this Arcanine in the active spot, and Al doesn't have a second attacker that's powered up. Moltres can't even swing for 70, so if we have Arcanine here, could be a bit of a swing, but we are going to see you concede instead.
Yeah, just a GG right there. Clearly they drew nothing. Like they had nothing in their hand at all. Really rough draw. Really rough draw for them.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just so tough, right?
It's such a difficult game between the two of them. I'm not really sure. I mean, in some of the tournaments before, I've seen where like Arcanine has a kind of a better matchup in a Charizard, but it doesn't seem like it in this case. Though we did only see Arcanine versus Arcanine. I'm sure Mana is going to want to find their Mew EX at some point though, because at least Mew EX can swing back into Charizard.
Yeah, true. Coming from the chat, a smart red card that Spraggles was too smooth-brained to understand. Exactly. The red card won it, and look, I can't be a red card hater anymore because clearly it took down that game.
It's true.
So here we go. They are starting with Charmander. On the other side, our opponent's starting with Moltres EX. A better start for them.
Yeah, if only we understood that red card, we too could be the best players. But we'll
look, you get it, Ursi. I still am figuring it out. We actually see Mew EX played as well as Professor's Research.
I think that's going to be a good card for Mana. Obviously, Mana cannot power up the Mew EX. We do get that lovely Arcanine down as well. But that Mew EX is going to be able to swing back any Charizard that appears on Al's side and be able to KO back with 200 damage, which is really nice for that Mew EX. We even saw that with the Mew EX, actually Arcanine has a really good matchup into Mewtwo now, whereas it was pretty poor beforehand. Mew EX can now swing back and KO. So another bad matchup for Mewtwo EX now.
Yeah. Here we go. We have the X speed pulling Charmander back to the bench. We have another Charmander being placed out on the bench. And there is that red card. Oh!
We're not going to use it this turn again. Please, guys. Please. No.
One thing that they may be discussing, it's true. If they red card, they could be giving their opponent a Professor's Research. Exactly. There are 4 cards in their hand right now. There are 12 cards in the deck. If they don't have Professor's Research, they are giving them the opportunity. They're giving them 4 draws to get it instead of 1. But they may be deciding that they don't care about that and they want to try to get any, Evos out of their hand. One thing they know is it's unlikely they have more basics, right? So they could be pulling basics from their deck into their hand.
That is very true. In this case, as you're saying, we actually do have the bench set up, which means the red card's not going to be a big of a problem. If anything, it could disrupt any evolutions in Mana's hand or supporters that they're trying to save. And so it could, in this case, be a good one versus last game where it was only a Growlithe on the bench. But 0 heads on that Inferno Dance is going to be a bit of a problem for Al, who's going to need upwards of 5 energies on his Charizard to be able to sweep the board.
And here we go. We are going to flip right now, power some of the bench, hopefully here. 2. And they get 2 instead of a really unfortunate 0 heads here. Yeah. Spraggles is learning about how red card puts basics in the enemy's hand. It's true. I had never considered it before, but now I'm considering it heavily.
But we do hit that Arcanine off the red card regardless. So does not seem like it had the intended effect. But we do play Charmeleon as well.
Yeah. Now we have a flip.
Ooh.
Hey, and it's the
Ooh.
exact opposite of last time. Only fair, only fair.
That's exactly perfect average. Let's go.
Yeah, this is what you want. Look, it's 3 tails, 3 heads. Everything is now balanced in the world.
No problems at all. Not broken. Not broken. Honestly, Moltres is a better Misty in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I mean it's way more consistent, right? I mean, you guarantee 3 coin flips, so it is much better for sure. However, Misty is more devastating because it's just such a heartbreaker one way or another.
Yeah, yesterday we actually had a Gyarados game where they're like basically about to lose. There was a 1 energy left on the Magikarp. They flipped 9 heads on Misty. And then sleeped.
It's how it goes. It is a pretty busted card, that is for sure.
Yeah. We're going to need to see some attachments to this Mew, though, if they want to be able to deal with a Charizard appearing on outside. Because Mew is the only card that Mana has that could KO back this Charizard.
Yeah, and we actually do see a point of fire energy being put on it there. We're now going to get the flip on the other side here, attempting to continue to power up this Arcanine. Obviously, you are not able to put any of that energy on Mew. It only is attachable to fire Pokemon. As we see the Charizard EX being pulled, we know that they can bring this card into play.
Uh-oh.
And I think now there's that big question. Do I attack right now or do I wait? Because Mew only has 1 energy, I almost think you attack right now, but we'll see.
That doesn't seem... I mean, the problem though, if we attack right now, right, we knock out Moltres, obviously we get 2 points. But even then, the Arcanine, right, can put damage on Charizard. Charizard only returns back 60. Arcanine puts another 120. Like, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, you're right. Without anything else ready to go on the bench. The only problem is if Mew gets 3 energy, it will guarantee the counterattack, right?
Very
so
true.
This like puts 1 turn between that. It may be fruitless either way. But I mean, this at least puts them in an advantage here. Maybe they can start powering Moltres. It's also possible they can retreat Char here.
Potentially, yeah, we could see a retreat. Wonder. So Arcanine is going to come out. I mean, I'm going to assume that that's going to be 120 damage out onto the Charizard now, but seems like a bad spot to be in for both sides.
I think I like the Char play here, though, because I really do think if you give Mew 1 more turn, you're guaranteed to just get like 1 shot there, right? So I think you have to put in Char. You have to deal the damage. Now you probably do pull Char back and hope for some really fortunate flips on Moltres to power Charizard.
Yeah, sadly, we do only draw another Moltres, which means it gives the question, like, how are we going to retreat? Are we actually going to take all of the energies off of Charizard? Like, you'll need 2 Moltres flips at that point then, minimum, to be able to finish the game.
You could get 1, right? You could get 1 3-point flip, and then anything they KO, you put Charizard in and attach 1 energy to it. So they need some massive coin flips right here.
Mana does have 0 points, so they will have to take out 2 of these 2-pointers still.
Yeah. I think this was the right play. I think you had to put pressure on before Mew was ready. Now the question is, are they able to get enough, and are they going to be able to get enough energy onto the Charizard here?
Yeah, huge question. Hopefully we'll have the coin flips that we want / need with these Infernal Dances and not another 3 tails. But let's see here. Ooh.
Oof.
Ooh.
Oof. Ugh.
What?
Slow.
That's
very
really
slow. Now they're going to have to decide what to do. So there is a reality that they power Charmander. The only thought here would be, well, if I power Charmander, it's going to take me multiple turns to go Charmeleon Charizard. But that feels like you're just sacrificing way too much, hoping for this next card just to have a full HP Char. And the HP Char doesn't really matter. If you can get this Charizard into an active spot with 4 energy, they win the game. Right?
Yeah, very true. Anytime the Charizard re-enters the active spot with 4 energy, Owl's going to win the game. The question is going to be here, though. Like, I saw him even looking at potentially attaching to his other Moltres. He needs to retreat this turn back to his other Moltres, or that is going to be 2 points for mana. Or he can risk this Moltres and hope to hit at least 2?
Yeah, this is hard here, right? I feel like I think he has to put energy probably on. Oh, he is going to retreat.
We're going to hand attach and retreat, though. That seems bad to hand attach to Moltres and retreat, not be able to even power up your other Moltres.
I honestly think you attach to Char and you just roll, you flip here.
Same.
But I could be wrong. I guess he could attach to other Moltres. I don't see the point for that. I mean, you just do it next turn, right?
Yeah, I think you have to attach to Charizard here. That puts it at 2. Yeah. Then all you need is a single coin flip from Infernal Dance.
Yeah.
And then you hand attach that follow-up turn after your Moltres is dead or knocked out, and then it can just knock out Arcanine.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think there are a lot of other options here. I think you attach to Char, you flip some coins. It's actually likely this goes well for you.
Yeah.
Wait.
Did he miss his turn?
Wait.
Did he miss his turn?
Wait. Did he just clicked end turn? Why?
Did he actually click end turn? Or did he like the time end?
No, he just clicked it.
He can't do that.
You better believe he can. You better believe he can.
He can't do that.
I can assure you he can.
I mean, I guess he physically can, but Chad is saying he had 18 seconds left. So he could have coin flipped. I'm really confused right now. So
he can still. By the way, this is not over. This is still winnable, but
I'm not sure it is now. Though. I mean, I guess it is
but
now,
what
so.
just happened? Wait, why did they Giovanni there? Just for fun?
I think just for funsies. That's my assumption.
Okay.
I think they beam back or something. But Charizard can't attack this turn.
Yeah. If they have Sabrina, it's over.
Yeah, if they have Sabrina, it's just over here. And this is where you would want the Sabrina, in my opinion, where you're at the turn where there's no reason to like use the Sabrina before, so they've just been able to get Sabrina in their hand for multiple turns. But I don't know, man.
What?
Mana runs one Sabrina.
I mean, it's not over. Wait, did they already play Sabrina?
I don't think so. That's my assumption. 3-1.
Huh.
They're ready for the Sabrina to come down. Sabrina comes down. That's game 2.
What did we just watch? This is like... What did we just see happen here?
Yeah, now we just attach the mute. Wait. Oh, yeah, we can still swing. There's only 60 damage left. I was thinking we attached to mute and retreat, but no, we don't even have to.
I mean, just an app, like, what on earth?
Oh. Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's game 2. We're going into game 3.
That's a very funny way to end that. Okay, well, that's game 2.
I mean, I don't think there should be game 3, but it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's quite a look. These are unfortunate things because I'm not trying to like harp on the player too much. Like these are stressful moments and you can make mistakes like this.
100%.
You know that they were going through all the ways this could go and they just did that. They just completely misclicked instead of flipping Moltres. You know.
I've even had times where like I do like the ADHD clicking around my screen.
Yes.
And I just accidentally clicked in button. Like it was like the first place I clicked. And it was, oh, wait. Oh no.
Yeah.
It definitely happens.
That was like, look, we've seen a lot of that. That's a heartbreaking loss because truly you're basically like you've basically checkmated your opponent. Their Moltres would have had to flip 3 tails right there.
Exactly.
But what are you gonna do?
Okay, so they are both starting Moltres this game. Much more positive for them both, though Al also did start Moltres last game. But not bad for Mana, who did start with the Growlithe, I think the last 2 games or something.
Wow. As we see, Moltres on the other side looking great. Professor's research, obviously. They've got to worry about red card. The red card here from Al has been, aggressive and chaotic. So
For
they got to
sure.
get their cards out right away. And that's, one of the big powers of having that. So they're probably going to fill up their bench as much as they possibly can here. But maybe they don't have much. Here comes Moltres to start powering up that Growlithe. On the other side, they're going to have to obviously get some basics out there so they can power up theirs as well. And we are flipping 2 out of 3. Nice start.
Exactly what Growlithe wants for sure. And Al sadly, does draw a Pokeball, which is going to help him find another basic. He doesn't want it to be Moltres, but it is. Oh no!
Oh, rough. That is a rough one to find.
Oof.
Obviously, they're going to need to put a bench out there.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's going to be Moltres. And yeah, they're going to have to power it.
That's the only thing to do right here, sadly. But it looks like we are going to be Inferno Dancing. And I mean, this is the moment where you don't want 3 heads, where you hit all 3 heads, honestly. Okay, only one. Not too much luck used up.
Okay. From the chat could also just end turn again. Oh, you guys are savage.
Oh no.
You're savages, I swear.
Savages. We have. Okay, a second Moltres will protect that Growlithe on the bench here. Ooh, Arcanine.
Yeah, this is obviously not a great start. An X speed right here is really unfortunate. Professor's research makes that more and more possible, right? I can't remember what they're running in their deck, but they do pull it. Here is the X speed, and they can put Arcanine in right away and start doing some serious damage.
Yeah, so Mana is running 2 X speed, 1 Leaf, so even a Sabrina right now would not be great. Red card's going to come down from Mana this time, which honestly I'm not sure is the worst thing, since we knew their hand, but it does help Al find a Growlithe, which...
Yeah, it actually may have been the most helpful thing they could have done, right?
It could also be, yeah.
Moltres right now with only 1 energy on it and 20 HP. There is a possibility they just have to sacrifice it here to power their bench. They could get the other Moltres powered up and start doing some damage. They also could possibly get Growlithe ready to become Arcanine. We're going to have to see how they want to play this here. They're in a tough spot.
A very tough spot. Even if we... Oh, it looks like we might retreat here back to the other Moltres. Really nice point for having that energy already on the other Moltres. So we could potentially start powering up the Growlithe even by hand. But obviously, this is not where Al wants to be in his game 3 of top 4.
No, it's rough because I think he unfortunately gave up game 2 in it's just a total unfortunate mistake, and now they're begging for an Arcanine here, and they're just not getting very fortunate with their energy at all. 3 would give them more options, of course, but 1, they really only have 1 option. It's Growlithe, possibly top decking Arcanine or Professors here.
Yeah. Another Pokeball coming from Mana. I mean, that could be a Mew EX or another... What is the baby Growlithe? It is the Growlithe. Or Growlithe. It is Mew EX, though, which is kind of nice in the chance that Ao does end up making a Charizard, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and now both Moltres are 20 HP from going down. We have a really sad pull.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, Charmeleon is just, I don't know what you do with that. That's just very unfortunate. It looks like we're putting some energy onto the bench, onto the other Moltres. And these are just kind of like desperation plays right here, as you are just drawing very poorly in game 3.
I mean, I think it's a little bit late here. Even if we power up this Growlithe and we find an Arcanine next turn, that is going to be, you know, just Sabrina away from a loss.
Yeah, this is tough here. So Moltres is going down, obviously. They have to put Growlithe in that active spot and pray for an Arcanine EX. Even still, they are not able to get the KO the other way, but it will give them a little, well, it doesn't give them any more time because the KO just comes right back. So I don't think there's any card they can pull here. And yeah, that
XP.
definitely wasn't it.
Yeah,
So.
that was not the card he wanted.
Time to red card right now. I guarantee someone in the chat might argue for this being a good red card. I've seen people argue for worse red cards.
Fantastic red
But
card.
yeah.
I think it was the best one yet. I think it was the best one yet.
Okay, yeah, they're just playing out their hand right here for fun, but it is over.
Okay, my gosh. What a sad end to this top 4. But I know Al played his heart out this game. It is always sad when we see misclicks. Nobody wants to misclick. Nobody wants to misplay, especially in the pressure of a top 4 going into finals.
Yeah. But there we have it. That will be the end here. From the chat, Spraggle's secretly happy that red card player lost. They both had red card.
Yeah, they both had red card.
Unfortunately, I could never be happy in this moment. Now, just hopefully red card loses in the future somehow. But yeah, I mean, a really great series between these two players that came down to truly just a heartbreaking misclick.
Yeah, for sure. On the plus side for Spraggles, if Golem wins, red card loses.
Honestly, I would say on the plus side for everybody, and I could be wrong here, except for maybe, you know, diehard Fire Deck fans, or, you know, they really like some of these players. I think a Golem win is great for everyone. I mean,
sure.
It just so exciting seeing a really an unexpected card. I thought Golem was good. I didn't think Golem was, you know, win the Pocket Weekly good.
Yeah, for sure. I did not think it was anywhere close to this. It definitely looked nice, but I think like 1,555 players in the tournament did not have it on their radar.
Yeah, I thought it was. I did think it was pretty solid, but it's really cool to see it get this far. I would not have guessed Golem would be out of that top 32. Looking at it yesterday, I would not have guessed Golem would be the one to make it all the way to the end, but it has some really good matchups. It's great into these lightning decks, and it's got a lot of HP. It's got 160 HP. We were just like kind of talking about the difference between this and old Golem earlier.
Yeah.
This has 160 HP. It has minus 30 damage from opponents' attacks after you attack with guard press. Old Golem was quite strong, but it hurt itself. Old Golem.
Yeah, 50 damage to itself as recoil was definitely a little bit too much for that card. I think we may have seen it do pretty, I mean, not obviously finals level good, but it did pretty well in some of the tournaments, but obviously not even hurting itself and reducing the energy damage incoming is just so strong. It's just so strong.
Yeah, I mean the insane glow up to this deck, going from the old Graveler, which required 3 energy, which just put it in the most like frustrating spot possible as a stage 1, like something that doesn't attack kind of on that really nice curve of energy each turn. That was really tough for it. And then yeah, it's hurting itself 50 to do 150, which is great, right? That's KOing a Mewtwo in one shot, which is really, really nice. But it really does feel like new Graveler and new Golem are pretty fantastic here.
Yeah, it seems like such a strong card right now. So I'm really excited to see it in that finals here. It's going to be so exciting.
Yeah.
We are just getting that next match up here, guys. So 1 moment.
Yeah. This will be our grand finals, which is pretty exciting.
Arcanine Mew EX versus a Golem. I don't know I would have expected this at all. I mentioned earlier, I definitely thought it was going to be Gyarados EX versus Gyarados EX, and I was going to be like, oh, another energy onto the Magikarp. But
It feels like Gary had a great showing in this tournament. Clearly, Gyarados is a meta threat right now, and even with so many Gyarados, we still see fire decks doing really well.
very
But a
true.
matchup with Golem and a fire deck, the only thing that might be more exciting, just from like a meta discussion perspective, would be somehow this being Golem Gary at the end here. But we're definitely seeing in this first huge tournament, Ursi, we're definitely seeing a big shift in the meta. Still seeing a lot of decks you'd expect. Pikachu still doing maybe better than I think people expected, but no Celebi, no Mewtwo. Gary goes far and Golem to the finals. Really cool.
Yeah, no, it would have been cool to see 2 new decks, but that Mew EX has had such a change on Arcanine, so I have nothing against it being in our finals. Very excited. But it's going to be really interesting to see here. Yeah, pop that up.
Yeah. It's just very cool.
Very cool indeed. I love seeing how much Mystical Island has changed our meta, and I'm really excited for the upcoming weeks. I would love to see a Luminion in the future as well.
Ooh, coming from the chat, and I didn't know this. I hadn't looked at it. 29 Cent is telling me that this Golem did not run into a single Celebi throughout this tournament. So isn't that fascinating?
Huh.
Celebi not performing super well, but does pretty well into this Golem deck with the extra weakness, right? So, you know, that's a really interesting topic of discussion too. Had kind of a fortunate run for this typing.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to decide, right? Like, what do I think I'm going to see in the tournament? What do I think that I can just, like, not run into? Golem obviously was like, fingers crossed, not going to see a Celebi. And it worked out for them, for sure. It worked out for them very, very well. I think that's pretty similar as well with that Zebstrika. Zebstrika, I think, does very poorly against Mewtwo EX. But it does so well against Gyarados. It does so well against some of these other cards in the meta, and sometimes the card games are about what do you think you're going to run into.
Absolutely, right? Because I mean, if you think the best deck is like, let's say there's a reality, best deck is Mewtwo EX. Well, then if you think everyone's running Mewtwo EX, then you play the counter to Mewtwo EX, and so on and so on and so on. Funny comment from the chat. The reason they didn't run to is because Celebi was in all the losers brackets.
Oh,
so
no.
there you go. I do think Celebi is like clearly in individual games, Celebi can go crazy. But yeah, obviously Celebi is not crushing it when it comes to playing these more consistent decks. But it's a really interesting deck in that it's a spoiler kind of to almost anything. Anything that can coin flip like that could spoil just about any deck. But that does mean that it's less likely that it's going to make it to the end of the tournament.
Yeah, very true. I mean, I think similarly with like Dragonite, I remember when this game first came out, during the soft launch, everyone was like, Dragonite is cracked. It's 160 health. It could do 200 damage. It can knock out multiple of my Pokemon at the same time. Like, what do you even do in a Dragonite? But when we see Dragonites perform well in this tournament, it's normally like the first 4 rounds. They'll be like 4-0, and then they finish like 4-6. So that type of inconsistency really does end up hurting these decks when you have these longer number of rounds that they have to be facing into player after player after player.
So here we go as our players are getting ready for the finals here, Ursi. We're going to be looking at the perspective of our Golem player as they are getting ready to start placing the cards in their active spot and in the bench. You hold it until they start placing, right?
So I've gone on and popped it up here just because the hand is showing. Maybe I should hide it again. They flip cards back and forth. But I'll close it off for now, and we'll see what they decide to put down. But okay.
Looks like we're starting with the Hitmonlee and the Golem. Okay.
Okay. Al is going to have to play around that red card, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do.
Yeah, right. I mean, red card could be really nice into this deck because you can get rid of Brock, which is pretty massive. We see our opponents here playing the Professor's Research. Mew in that active spot. The card's beautiful, but I don't know how much you're loving it in that active spot there with no psychic energy to attach to it, do any extra damage to Hitmonlee. Costs a lot of energy to power this thing to copy a 1 energy attack. So you're going to want to get Mew out of there pretty fast.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely gonna want to get out of that spot. Not good. Good to be there for sure. Ooh, we do potentially get Drudagon, which might be better in the active spot than Hitmonlee right now.
Yeah, that'll
So
be interesting, right? Well, with nothing on the bench, you definitely don't need Lee. But at the same time, I mean, they could keep Lee out there and start doing some damage at some point. They also could just start powering Geodude, which is most of what you're going to see with a Golem deck. Needing 4 energy means you need to power it very, very fast.
yeah, 4 energies is a lot of energy to put down. And finding Brock is really going to be a need if he doesn't want to have to take that many turns into the game.
Here comes Moltres. Obviously, Growlithe as well. They need to get Mew out of there. If they have X speed, they can kind of do it for free. Pokeball, able to place another basic onto the bench here. Giving Lee a lot of options would be ideal for them. And there is the X speed.
Yeah, that'll be an Inferno Dance in this turn. I think it was really interesting to see this choice with Mew EX that the developers made. In the normal card game, Mew in its final evolution, whatever you want to call it, like, or the basic, is normally 0 retreat, allowing it to be kind of like a switch in, switch out card as well. But obviously, they decided that would be too strong in this game for sure.
Yeah, and now we have Growlithe being powered up. I wonder if Hitmonlee wants to put any pressure down here. It all depends really on how fast they want to get Golem online. I do think it's tough to not give energy to your Golem. So we're going to see what they want to do. However, it is kind of cool to just be putting some damage onto Arcanine. If you do, you put it into a scary spot, right? It might
For sure.
enter battle with a smaller amount of HP, putting it in KO range of one of Golem's attacks.
Yeah, even one Hitmonlee attack would put it into a Giovanni range. So that could definitely be scary. Even then, if they don't get that Arcanine made, Growlithe only survives, what, 3 Hitmonlee attacks? And they can still be building up that Golem on the bench while they do that.
They are deciding to put Lee in here. They are going to also place Graveler.
Okay, I wonder if
Feel
it'll
like
be on the Mew, though, as well. It's definitely a
it could
option.
be, right? Because you have that really... This also puts Mew in KO range.
Yeah, even... And with a Giovanni, it would still be in KO range if it had hit with the Graveler's attack. Or not Graveler, but the Golem's attack. But it does go on the Growlithe.
I think that's the right call. I think you want to put pressure on that card. You want to make sure that if they do evolve, you are still kind of like ready to KO it in one hit. It's very powerful here as we're going to continue to try to power Arcanine on the bench. Great flips for them. 3 energy right away. So they're ready to bring that in whenever they want. They also are ready to put 1 more energy on Moltres and possibly KO Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee can now retreat given that it has 1 energy on it.
Yeah, very true. I mean, he could treat or even start doing... I mean, Giovanni's a KO. So definitely a lot of choices for Mana next turn.
Yeah, Giovanni is a KO. I feel like Hitmonlee needs to get out of there, but they could just be sacrificing it here.
For sure. We do still need to find a Brock as well if we want to attack next turn with Golem. But
yeah.
Oh, we're gonna retreat back. It looks like.
Yeah, retreat back into the Drud. Just give them time to power up Golem here on your bench, and they've already done a little damage to Arcanine. That's a nice position to put it in here.
Will we have the Arcanine? I mean, because that would just like definitely swing this game to go in and start attacking before we even have our attacker built up on Nino's side. And it's not like we have Marshadow either set up that would otherwise be able to be putting in, what, 100 damage into that Arcanine.
Right, yeah. I like this play to just put pressure on your opponents here. Another energy onto Moltres. They could start attacking. It does put them in this annoying spot, though. If they hit Drudagon, they are within KO range of Golem. However, they can't get Drudagon out and Golem in and power it in one turn because they placed the energy on Hitmonlee a little earlier. It would take 2 turns to make that play happen. They need to play both Leaf and Brock, and they'd also have to have Golem in their hand.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult spot to be in. This Druddigon is probably gonna get knocked out. If we want the Golem powered up. But at the same time, I think that's one of those things that's so important about Druddigon right now is how many of the thresholds that even just one attack into Druddigon really puts these Pokemon into KO range. So we do have Golem now, but do we have a Brock? Or we didn't because we have a research, but I wonder if we'll have one in the upcoming turns.
Yeah, that is the question, right? And then if you're the opponent right here, they have a very large hand at this point, so this could be the opportunity to red card them if they did have a Brock and get rid of it. The thing is, they are able to power Golem with just one energy next turn. A Leaf puts that Golem in to start fighting.
Very true.
It's a scary place to be for mana.
Very, yeah. And a second Jude who's going to come down as well now.
That is going to be the end of that turn. If they've got a Leaf in their hand, you're hoping you can get rid of it if you have a red card, because that'll give you more time.
I mean, but if we're going to KO this Druddigon, maybe it doesn't even matter if Leaf is there. They have everything they need.
Powering Mew. Seeing if they decide to put anything else possibly on their bench to start powering. Arcanine's good to go. Both Arcanine and Moltres at 120 HP, which is, you know, one hit. Yeah, and here comes the other Moltres.
Yeah.
This could be a time to just power your bench.
Yeah, I mean, we could power up even the Moltres on the bench. We definitely need... I don't know, it feels like we can't attack into the Druddigon and just allow Golem into the active spot. But at the same time, we have to take 3 points from 3 separate Mons of Nino's, which is a lot to do with our Mons like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's just a really hard situation, I feel like, for Mana to be in right here. They could bring the other... Yeah, if they bring the other Moltres in, it has 140 HP. They could start to power it to attack Drud. It would tank a hit from Golem, so it doesn't go down, which could be nice.
We did get that one energy back. Have an energy now and retreat.
I wonder if the play here is to get either Hitmonlee or Geodude into that active spot to put everything on your opponent's side into like a scary range.
I can see that, yeah, especially because I mean that would be really nice for Mana. Then Nino can't just start running away every single turn. Definitely something so strong in this game is that we don't have like that direct gust or boss. We kind of
well.
Ooh.
They decided professors here, so they're not going to get aggressive with the play there on Geodude. Instead, however, it looks like they're going to evolve it into Graveler. Now we could possibly have 2 Golems preparing to fight.
Yeah, that would be a huge game changer in my opinion. Having 2 big attackers where you could just trade either with since no points have been taken and they're 1-pointers each. Like that seems almost game over for Mana if we can set up a second Golem.
Yeah, it does, right? It's just so hard to take these down. And they are just powering Mew here. Marshadow is not what they're looking for, right?
Definitely not. Yeah, they're gonna be looking for a second Golem, maybe a Brock to help power up these 2 attackers.
There is a reality that you put Hitmonlee in, but you don't want it to go down. However, you'd be trading 1, you know, for a 2, because it would have to be a powerful EX card to come in to deal with it.
Yeah, it's very true.
And even still, like if you put Hitmonlee in, there's nothing that could KO Hitmonlee that you wouldn't be able to KO back the other way. And then there's nothing I think that could KO Golem next turn, right? Is there anything that could do enough damage to it?
Yeah, if we put in Hitmonlee, let's say I don't even know who you want to attack, but let's say Arcanine knocks it back out, is at 100 health. Then Golem KOs that. Mew comes in to put 120 damage on Golem.
Yeah, I think Lee is the play here. I like this play. It's putting everything within KO range of Golem. And if they move into KO Hitmonlee, Golem comes in, picks up the KO. The only thing they can do is keep Moltres here But what are they powering at that point? They could Moltres to KO Hitmonlee with the Giovanni, but then Golem's coming in. I just feel like this Golem card is so hard for them to deal with right now. I don't know what they can do here, really.
100%. This is a really hard spot to be in. I mean, it's really interesting. You can't even really KO back with the Golem attack, whereas like if you're against Charizard, you can KO back. Against a Mewtwo, you can KO back. And with that Hitmonlee attack, I mean, it's still in range that Giovanni like we talked about. So I guess maybe we are going to power up that Moltres on the bench.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's something, right? You could use the Moltres to KO Hitmonlee with the Giovanni. Yeah, this just feels like, I mean, it's almost like these two are facing off, you know? It's like they've like stepped towards each other at high noon and they're just trying to see who is going to draw first.
For sure.
But I feel like this Golem player is just going to be a little faster. Maybe the fastest Golem in the West right now.
Oh no. We got the cowboy references out now. It is officially the cowboy the content cowboy.
The stream's been going long enough, guys. It's about to get real cowboy up in here. Yeah. This is just this is tough right now, Ursi. It really is for them.
This is a really interesting match. It kind of feels like we are stalling. Like we're both like, who's gonna move forward first? This Hitmonlee can't put the Moltres in the active spot in range either. So it is just who's gonna draw first and initiate the battle. Second energy on the Moltres here. Still stalling out here. Maybe another Inferno Dance, but for what? And we've drawn, it looks like nearly our entire deck. Nearly.
Yeah, I mean, they're both drawn real deep right now. If another Golem gets out there too, I just don't know what you do, right?
Yeah, it's like a second Golem definitely seems to like seal the game here.
There's red card, possibly taking away some of their options. They still have Brock. They now have a Pokeball and Drud.
Interesting. I mean, Pokeball gets us Marshadow, but we're definitely looking for a Golem. Golem instead. So
yeah. If they didn't have it before, they definitely didn't draw it now.
And they don't get to decide where to put their energies either. This one.
It still just feels like, you know, this is game over for our fire player here.
Yeah, I wonder what turn we're on. If we hit turn 30, it's a tie. But surely we're not gonna go that far. So we do have Brock to win this game. We haven't seen it all game so far. So Brock finally does show up. Oh, we're gonna retreat back to Drudagon though. Oh, okay. We'll put the last Pokemon in range of a Golem attack though.
Yeah. Here we go. Now Moltres can't attack safely. Every single card on the other side of the board is going to be within Golem KO range. And if they pull another Golem, they're going to have 2 opportunities for it. They have no EX Pokemon to get KO'd, so they can't ever grab 2 points.
Yeah, what is Mana supposed to do here? I don't really know at this point.
Yeah, I don't think there's much they can do. You know?
Yeah.
Is it possible that, I don't know what turn we're on. Are we just stalling for turn 30 here? No.
Surely not.
No.
That's, I mean, it's not like you don't just get a replay with turn 30, so surely they won't be playing for that.
Yeah, and here comes Golem.
All right, turn 18. Okay.
Yeah, so there's no way.
Looks like we're gonna be closing out here though. That is 0.1 for Mana. But I think we're just gonna have a return KO and get 2 points for Nino Leo here.
2 points and then 2 points again. There's nothing that can do enough damage to Golem. I don't see any play that can be made. There are no cards left in the deck for the side of Mana.
Let's see.
From the chat, he's waiting for Nino to disconnect with his internet quality.
Oh, no.
Just trying to see, like, maybe, like, if this is the quality that he outputs the game at, maybe they're like having connection problems over there. Let's see how long we
True.
can go.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's the
Just
2
wait on the
points.
internet.
Yeah, just wait it out. Clearly, they're doing something with power lines in their neighborhood right now. That internet could go out at any moment.
Whole new definition for stall.
Yeah, I've always wondered why some of my opponents stall so long. They're just hoping that my internet goes down. As we see Mew come out here, there's really nothing they can do.
Yeah.
They're gonna play Potion and Potion again. This is nice. I mean, they will put themselves in a position to not get KO'd in one hit by Golem.
Yeah, that definitely. Wait.
Wait.
Did he just? I think he. Was he? Maybe he was gonna retreat. He could retreat here and attack with a different Pokemon. I think that's a misclick though.
What? No, he can't.
No.
What?
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
What? You double potion the Mew, you are able to hit with Golem's attack and then survive a Golem attack.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. Just again, these are super high pressure situations. So, you just didn't notice that they had energy on they only had 2.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. I do it sometimes for sure.
Does the -30 on the next attack still apply? Yeah, why wouldn't it, right? Mew is just going to copy the attack.
Yeah, and which means the effect as well.
Yeah.
So, he definitely had the chance to knock out the Golem. We hadn't found the second Golem yet. Maybe I guess he is in range of a Graveler attack, but you could retreat back to like an Arcanine swing. Yeah, I'm not sure. Definitely different misplay.
Zolo in the chat, Zolo Commander says, what the casters don't understand is that 400 USD is the equivalent to 800 meatballs. And I got to be honest with you, Ursi, when you do put it in context of how many meatballs you could win with this whole thing, that is pretty massive. If someone were to tell me I could go home and there would be 800 meatballs there, I would also be pretty dang nervous.
Honestly, if you put it in the range of food, that's also like you can buy like 4 pieces of ramen, like 4 ramen things per $1. That's like 1,600 packets of ramen. This is a huge tournament right now. Absolutely, very excited that we get to cast it. A lot is on the line.
Me too. A lot is on the line, and these players could be eating good for a very long time if they are able to win this thing. As we start out here in game number 2, Moltres on the other side. We got Hitmonlee out in that active spot. Druddigon and Geodude on the bench. We're going to see how they want to play this. The Pokeball comes out. Could have a good start here for a fire deck, obviously. Get that basic out there early.
Trevor points out that is 5 years of food, so.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, we are going to have the energies attached to the Mew EX. I guess it does make sense. You can't power up the Mew EX on the bench, so no reason to attach to the Moltres there. But we are going to really be looking for that Graveler here from Nino's side, and we're going to draw into it.
Yeah, this is knowing that they had to put the energy on Mew, of course means they did not have a single basic fire Pokemon to put on their bench. Very unfortunate start, as Hitmonlee is going to start doing what it does best, kicking that Mew.
And it kicks it pretty hard, down to 100 health now. We are looking for Golem. We are hoping to find also some basics on the side of mana. We do draw a Growlithe, so that should be our top deck. So I think it's going to be our only play this turn potentially, and we are going to Infernal Dance.
There we go. Yeah. Getting some energy, hopefully, onto their bench here. Because, the nice thing about the Arcanine deck, right, as opposed to Charizard, is it gets sets up faster. But when you don't get a basic turn 1, when you only get 1 energy on it on your second turn, you're in trouble. And now we just see that they're in a little bit more trouble here as Golem hits the board.
Yeah. So Golem does appear. If we have some Brocks, we could be 2 turns away from attacking potentially. But that is a big if.
Yeah, boy, this is just such a tough spot for this fire deck. I mean, as soon as Golem hits the board and that thing's getting powered, Hitmonlee can continue to put damage out. And if it puts any of these Pokemon in a position to get one hit by Golem, it's just so tough.
Definitely. It's and Brock
And
is gonna
there's
come
Brock.
down. That
Yep.
could be. I mean, we can start swinging next turn with our Golem now.
Wow.
And another 30 health, 30 damage gonna be going on that bench. Back onto the Mew again.
They're going to put it on Mew. They definitely don't want Mew to copy their attack. That's what they're more worried about. And they don't know where Arcanine is, right? So it's very possible they think, look, I know Mew's here. I know it has energy on it. I'm going to focus on that instead of focusing on this possible Arcanine in the future. Another Growlithe hits the board.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, an Arcanine does appear, but it still needs a good bit of energies here. Second energy on the Moltres as well. Huh.
Yeah, they want to put Moltres in a position where they have to scare Hitmonlee out, right? They know that Moltres plus Geo next turn would equal Hitmonlee going down. I could do the math on that pretty easily there. 2 fire energy onto the bench, and of course they're powering up their Arcanine EX.
Yep, and that's going to be a fully powered up Arcanine. One more energy till Giovanni knocks out this Hitmonlee as well. I'm assuming we're going to see another Hitmonlee attack this time, maybe into the Arcanine, but he definitely doesn't want to be... Oh, no, we're going to retreat. Oh, are we going to? I don't know.
Oh, we're not sure. I mean,
sure.
there's a argument for both, right? If you
Yeah.
retreat, you deny your opponent the opportunity to pick up a point. If you stay out there, you have the possibility of Golem coming in, but Golem can't one-hit KO this Moltres unless Moltres takes some damage. So Moltres is going to need to possibly take some revenge damage from this rough skin on Druddigon. Otherwise, Golem is going to have to take it down in 2 turns.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely also that one, though. If you put up Druddigon, do we even swing at Moltres, potentially?
Probably not. But we're just heading back into the stall pattern that we saw from game number 1. They have to make sure that there's enough damage on each one of these Pokemon that come out so this Golem does not go down. Now, one weird spot that Nino is in is they cannot power 2 Golems this time, right?
Yeah.
They have 2 Druddigons on the bench. So yeah, this is interesting. We've entered sort of a different game of chicken almost between these 2 players. Obviously, this Moltres does not want to take any damage. The second it does, it's within KO range of Golem. They need to get Golem out and get 2-shot by something on the side Mana here.
Very true. Yeah, Mana definitely has an in to win this game with only 1 Golem on the bench. A little bit of a misplay, but happens to all of us. And we are protected against any type of Sabrina with these 2 Druddigons down. But what is Mana supposed to do here? I mean, we could potentially one-hit KO Druddigon, but that puts the Arcanine in range. We could...
Yeah, I don't think we'd want to do that, especially with Mew with such little HP. It feels like you almost have to now power 2 Arcanine EXs on the bench and try to somehow get that Golem out. Golem has to basically, it has to take 2 huge bursts of damage. If it doesn't, it's just over. Huh.
Oh, we do attack, though. I guess we're demanding a leaf if they want to keep Druddigon alive.
Okay. Interesting. Moltres can go down in 1. They'll come in and attack Golem. Golem could not KO Arcanine in 1. So there is a play here. I'm not... For me, I don't think Moltres attacks there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but we are going to go on and swing back, taking our first 2 points as Nino Leo.
Arcanine
doesn't take KO, like you were saying.
Yeah, it doesn't. But maybe... I'm trying to think, like, okay, so they could... Here's one nice thing. If this Golem goes down, then Golem, they don't have another one even close to getting ready, right? And now they're going to be able to power the other Arcanine on the bench. So they are just getting ready for this. And maybe they wanted to do this before there was any possibility of something on the other side scaring them.
There is one problem, though. So if we get a single Golem attack into this Arcanine and they hit, then that's Arcanine's at 10 health, and he's in Hitmonlee range if he hides back on the bench.
Yeah, great point.
Oh, and Giovanni range now as well, which I didn't think about the Giovanni.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
Okay.
GG. Well, I'm not sure about the Moltres play, but maybe the thought in their player's mind was like, look, if they don't have Geo yet, I can actually get rid of Golem. So maybe they were actually playing around Geo right there, trying to figure it out. But either way, Golem wins this whole thing, Ursi.
Insane. I actually cannot believe that Golem has ended up winning the match. That was not in my, oh my god, what is it called when people do the, not Sudoku?
No,
you know what I'm talking about, where they like bingo.
You're right, it's not
in my
whatever
bingo board.
Your bingo card.
Bingo
Yes.
board.
For a second,
not
I was like,
in my bingo board.
So I'm like, you know what, Ursi? I can tell you what, it definitely wasn't in your Sudoku game. That's for sure.
That's the math
no
one.
Way.
That's the math one. But I wanted to bring up our lovely bracket. It is going to be a win for Nino Leo here. Absolutely insane to see Mana with a Arcanine EX. And a Mew EX, and then Nino Leo with that Golem and Druidagon list. Mind-blowing, honestly, for that to be our first winner of the Mystical Island meta. My gosh.
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? I mean, it's just I'm really excited to have this turn out like this. You're hoping to see some really cool meta shakeups, and I think this is, one of the coolest outcomes that we absolutely could have seen in this tournament.
For sure. I'm going to bring up that list real quick. But absolutely insane. I'm so glad we got to watch the finals. Just crazy. I'm so glad. I'm actually so happy that somebody won, other than a Mewtwo and a Pikachu as well. Which is really exciting.
Of course, we've seen so much Mewtwo, so much Pikachu, so it is really cool to see something different win a tournament, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I do want to say a huge shout out to Nino Leo and Mana for playing in our top 4. I will also state that obviously all of our players did a fantastic job today. People make mistakes, people make misplays. It's completely normal, and so to keep that in mind while anybody is making fun of anyone for their misplays. But thank you guys so much for playing in our tournament today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Mana. Thank you, Nino Leo, for streaming. Thank you to our entire top 32 today. It was absolutely insane to watch the gameplay, and everyone did so well. I'm so glad to have our newest champ of the week, though, Nino Leo. We do already have next week's tournament going. It is !tournament, and you can sign up for next week's Mystical Island if you just didn't have the cards this week, or you just wanted to see how the meta was going to shape up. You can now sign up very, very easily and go and get your slot in the tournament. We had about 1,500 players this week, so I'm interested to see how it goes again next week. So will be very awesome. I want to give a huge shout out again to Spraggles for showing up and being our co-caster this week. He was absolutely awesome, and I'm so happy that we could have him onto this tournament. It was so cool. So thank you so much, Spraggles.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Ursi. It's just a little slice of heaven being here with you, getting to see all of these, amazing players go at it. And I totally agree. Like, you're going to see some of these players make some small misplays or something, but they're down in the arena battling it out. It's really easy for us in the cheap seats to be like, I can't believe you would have done XYZ. Huge shout out once again to this amazing community, but a really big shout out to you. I think you're doing just some incredible stuff for the community. You're a huge reason why we know what the meta is, and you putting on these tournaments is really incredible. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. That really does mean the world to me. That's really sweet of you. So thank you so much. With that being said, I do want to also give a huge shout out to our sponsor, XP Collects, who puts up the 400 USD prize pool every single week. Because of their generosity, we get to pay out all the way down to top 16. So super, super, super awesome. That being said, guys, I do want to do a huge shout out to our judges, because we could not do this tournament without them. We would not be able to do broadcast. We would not be able to do this whole setup if we didn't have our judges. I also want to give a huge shout out to the entire community, because obviously this competitive community would not be possible without everyone who is willing to play what is almost 9 hours on Saturday and then another 3 to 4 hours on Sunday. Super huge shout out to the entire community, and thank you so much to all the viewers, because obviously we can only do this because you guys are here and willing to watch. Spriggles and I yap for 4 hours. So very, very awesome. With that being said, we are going to raid Spriggles. Spriggles is starting his stream. And so as a huge thank you, we're going to do a quick raid to him. I do want to say, for those of you who are new, Spriggles is an awesome Pokemon Pocket and Pokemon Unite streamer. He also casts Pokemon Unite tournaments for Pokemon themselves. And for those of you who are new, hi, I'm Ursi. I also stream Pokemon Pocket 7 days of the week. We'd love to see you guys around, either his stream or my stream. You can do ! cocaster for all of his different socials. And you can follow him on YouTube, Spriggles Pocket for his Pocket content, Spriggles for his Unite content. I think you might have like a B-Reel channel as well, if I'm correct on that. I'm not
I had a channel that was the B tier, but the B tier has become the Pocket channel. But yeah, thank you. That's so many. Yeah, there are lots of places to check me out. And again, I really want to thank you, Ursi. I think what you do for the community is fantastic.
Thank you. That really means the world to me. That being said, I'm going to go on and send y'all over to Spriggles, and I'm going to see you guys again tomorrow for a stream. So, bye-bye.
Bye.